But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest. Into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. We're here tonight with our good friend and co-host, Ash, the Reptilian from Mars, and this is a show where we get together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We got a doozy for you tonight, of course, because when Ash shows up, we always have a doozy for you. That's for damn sure. And what we do, this is one of those weird shows, and that we talk about all those things I just mentioned, but so many more things. It's about a lot. It's about you just can't sum it up. So if you're new and you're wondering what the hell is going on and how you found your way here, don't worry. It's not as bad as it looks. I promise you that. The very first look may make your stomach ache a little bit, but it's not like you think. It's not like you think. Hang tight, and we'll explain. All right, we'll explain as we go. But so what we're doing is we do this live to include you. I always say that I don't have any inside sources, well, except for a reptilian from Mars, but he barely counts. And but the secret weapon of troubled minds is you. And exactly what that means is that this is a conversation. It goes in this case, it'll go three ways tonight. We're going to have a three-way, if you know what I mean, because we got Ash here. But usually it's just a conversation between myself and you out there listening regarding some of the things that may or may not be true in the universe around us. And that's what this is about. That's what it's always been about. We do a thing called drinking the maybe juice. And what the more highbrow term for that would be, Aristotle said, it's the mark of an educated mind to consider a thought without accepting it. And that's what drinking the maybe juice actually means. And that's what this is all about. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, we are streaming live on Rockfan, YouTube, D Live, and Twitter. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Excuse me. And that's what's happening. So if you want to be part of the show, you can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. And we also have a Discord running at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. And what else? We're watching all the chat in all the places. My chat's a little broken tonight, so bear with me as I try and keep up. But what else? We got another Fringe Discord running over at fringe.fm/chat. Please join that. I'm watching that as well. What's up, guys? I see you over there. And we also have the Fringe app.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Hold on one sec, man. You there? Test 1, 2. Are you there? Ash, test 1, 2. Hello. All right, that's going to be hard if we have communication issues.
You're muted in Discord.
Oh, okay. Well, that would explain why I'm not coming through. All right. Well, that would explain why you don't hear a damn thing. All right. Your timing's just about perfect because I've just been going through all the things here. One quick thing before we say hi to Ash. Can you hear me now, Ash? Test 1, 2.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, what's up? What's going on? All right, so just one quick thing, and we'll say hi to Ash, is don't forget to download the Fringe app at, of course, your favorite iTunes or Android app store. It's completely free. It's the best way to listen to Troubled Minds. Just click the play button at 7 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Thursday. All right, let's do this. Let's do this the proper way. Ash here is our good friend, a reptilian from Mars. Let's see if we can make a proper uplink, because we usually have communication issues because of the orbits of the planets and things. So let's just make sure that this is appropriately working. Style up. All right. Earth to Ash. Do you copy, buddy?
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Welcome to the thing, man. Welcome to the craziness, because we got craziness to talk about tonight, don't we?
Yeah. Honestly, potentially might be the most important thing ever in the history of humanity to talk about, or it might be just crazy nonsense, but that's just another night on Troubled Minds, right?
Right, exactly. That's the whole point, right? Is how much of all this stuff is crazy nonsense, and how much of this is worth considering, and that's what this is about. So Ash here again. You got a YouTube channel. You want to plug that real quick before we get going, and tell everybody about you and your stint with Troubled Minds and all the rest of that.
Yeah, hi guys. So it's a long story. No, it's not that long. But a long time ago, I was listening to this crazy guy on the internet. His name was Michael Strange, and I called in a few times to talk about crazy stuff with him. And next thing you know, we were co-hosting for a while, and it was a good time. It was I have a lot of respect for Mike. It's a lot of work, showing up and getting the word out and talking about all these crazy topics. So a lot of respect. And so every once in a while I come back and we talk about some cool stuff. I have my own YouTube channel. It's called Ash the Reptilian from Mars. And there we talk about disclosure, aliens, pyramids, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of interesting stuff. So you can check me out there. Please subscribe and follow. And, if you like the kind of conversation we have today and tonight, please feel to stop by. I think last time I had a show, we were shopping for a robot vacuum cleaner wife. So yeah, we have a little fun in the chat there, and but it's good to be here, and it's good to be here with you guys, and I missed you guys, so it's good to be it's nice to be back.
All right, welcome back. Okay, so what we're talking about tonight is this. Ronald over on Rockfin wants to know: are we going to be discussing slee stacks? Maybe, sort of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
kind of. Yeah. So this is the way this starts is it's like this. We've got this video from the Farsight Institute. Okay, farsight.org, and of course that's the world famous Courtney Brown, who is a remote viewer. He's one of probably, what would you say, the most famous remote viewer anymore? I can't think of anybody more famous these days. But basically, he has this new series coming out, and he's discussing this race of aliens, alien human hybrids, even that are being enslaved by the Reptilians. All right, now Now, like I said, buckle your seatbelts because this one's going to get weird, right? And so Ash pointed this out to me not too long ago, and the videos and a link in the description down below. You can check it out. By the way, also Ash's YouTube channel link is in the description. Give him a follow there, please. But okay, so I don't know, where do we begin with this, Ash? There's a lot here. There's this kind of ties in with Dr. David Jacobs. This ties in with Bashar, that channeling what's the, I can't remember the way he says it. Enslaving, the Enslaving alien race. There's a lot going on. I don't know. Where do we start, Ash? There's just too much.
Yeah, I think it's good to start at the highest level, and kind of like declare the goal, right? And so, for me, what got me into all this stuff is I just really wanted to know for real. And everyone thinks that they can figure it out themselves, and then you start diving into this stuff, and what's that curve where when you're new at something, you think you're good at it, then you learn that you suck, and then eventually when you become good, you're never as confident as you were when you first started. And that's kind of like with this stuff. You get into it, paranormal, aliens, the government, misinformation. It's so confusing. It's so crazy. So how do you kind of cut through that? Documentation is fake. There's misinformation agents. So over time, I've been kind of trying to paint this picture for myself personally. And one of these, the tools, the information I reference is the Farsight Institute by Dr. Courtney Brown. And it's basically a collection of remote viewers, and they have topics, like the pyramids or whatever. They remote viewed it. And remote viewing is like, is sort of a psychic phenomenon that we supposedly all have, but some people really, they have like the best people on the planet. They use that ability to look at information, and they've kind of peeled back the layer. If you're to believe what they have, they've peeled back a layer, and they kind of have an idea of what's going on. So if you're curious of their worldview, which is validated by a lot of information that we've had on the show and we looked at ourselves, and I might have actually tipped them off personally, which is, I would, if this all works out, I hope it does. I'm actually going to be really proud. But yeah. So if you're curious about the worldview, if you want to like entertain and be like, okay, what's going on with aliens, the government, all that stuff, they've got answers. I don't know if they're the right answers, right? But there are answers there. And I think that you should take those in, stew on them, think about it, be skeptical. And I think that's really important. I think we should get this out, based on my research, based on confirming things. It's just, it might be the real deal. It might be literally what's going on. It's not everything. It's not 100% exact, and it's not going to be 100% accurate. But I think it's the best shot we got right now.
Okay, for a lot of things, I suppose, because there's a lot here. Let's play some clips. I've got some. So from this video, actually, from Farsight.org, and again, this Courtney Brown. This is Dr. Courtney Brown, like Ash was saying. He's a remote viewer, and they get this information from remote viewing. And they, if you're familiar with the process, it's a situation where you can actually sort of leave your body and find sort of out of body type experience thing, but you're sort of seeing with the mind's eye across basically the universe. You could travel galactically. You could also time travel, things like this. So it's all sort of in the mind's eye. Okay, so again, you got to take all this with a grain of salt, like Ash said. Maybe it's important, maybe this is not. It just depends on how you view this stuff. But here's the thing. Okay, let's hear. This is a clip exactly from Courtney Brown, sort of framing this exactly where probably we should begin. So let's make sure Ash can hear this. Remind me.
Let me give a little background on the technique, so you guys don't think it's just like a dude in a room meditating, just writing stuff down, right? This is that he outsources it to a team of people. Everything's done double blind, meaning, like, let's say Mike was going to give me a target. He would just give me a number. I don't know what it is, and let's say it's the pyramids, and I would come back after doing the technique with triangles and blocks of stone. You would you would think that's amazing, right? So this is stuff they consistently do. They have a team. I believe they outsource it, so they'll have like, let's say they'll have one topic. They'll have a team of people to give it to like 10 people. 5 people get it, 5 people don't. There's definitely an error rate with this stuff. But 5 people are talking about pyramids and stones and Egyptians and or like us people working and out in the desert and stuff. So they'll use that information and sort of build a picture, and they'll have varying topics on that. So they'll say the remote view of the pyramids, or remote view of the people in charge, and so they apply a scientific method to a very kind of woo kind of thing. But apparently, when you remote view outside of this planet or extraterrestrials, all of them have these abilities, which is very fascinating. And humans have sort of a suppressed, or maybe in some ways more powerful, but most ways less powerful. So anyway, that's a little background information. And Dr. David, Courtney Brown is a scientist. He is like, he works for universities and stuff. So this isn't just some crazy person. So there's some credentials behind this, a little right, to back it up. So.
Okay, all right, which is a good way to start, because if you leave it to me to explain things, it just goes sideways super fast. So so this is an actual clip of him describing where this starts, where this sort of alien idea of the reptilian enslavement comes from. So I'm going to play this. We'll play a couple clips and then kind of frame this, and we'll just keep on trucking tonight. As always, looking to hear your thoughts on this. Do you believe in remote viewing? That's one of the questions tonight. And 2, what about this alien enslavement with reptilians and whatnot? Here we go. We're going to play this, and let's see. Here we go. Press that. And part 1. This is Courtney Brown talking about the Enslaving.
All those beings described by Dr. Jacobs, who are in various states of hybridization, we call at Farsight the Enslaving. Now, there's no single version of the Enslaving. So let's establish some basic definitions. What are the Enslaving? They're hybrids of various mixture strengths between humans and gray extraterrestrials. Now, some Enslaving have more gray DNA, and some have more human DNA. Dr. Jacobs defines those with more gray DNA to be hybrids, and he considers those with more human DNA to be hybrids. Now, the hybrids look exactly like humans, but they have most of the telepathic and neural mental capabilities of the grays. But we consider all such genetic mixtures to be Enslaving, regardless of the strengths or the percentages of the mixtures. Now, who did this? The Enslaving were created by extraterrestrials through an extensive abduction program that has taken place on Earth for a long time, primarily beginning in the second half of the 20th century, and which continues through today. Various extraterrestrials have been involved. And now, the Greys. Who are the Greys? The Greys are an extraterrestrial race that has been heavily modified genetically from anything that humans would recognize as normal. They come in short and tall varieties, and they have the characteristic large wraparound dark eyes. The Greys are now considered a slave race that is controlled by other extraterrestrial races, primarily the Reptilians and the Insectoids.
All right. How's that for starting out? I've never heard of the Enslaving. Have you actually heard of the Enslaving, Ash, before this this moment here?
I think they coined the word for that. I haven't heard of it. It's a pretty cool name, Enslaving. It's pretty dope. I like it. But yeah, man, that's a lot to take in all at once. And it sounds crazy, right? But it's like when you're watching Star Wars, you accept their universe as like real, right? And you'll actually see these kind of beings in Star Wars. All the beings he mentioned, like if you're watching Star Wars, they're there, and it's not a big deal, right? So, I guess it's not a very good point, but I'm just saying it's a lot to take in at once, and I don't know. How do you feel about all that, Mike? Hearing all that at once?
It is a lot. I was listening to the video before we began tonight, cutting up the audio, and I was like, I'm not like it gets even wilder though. So we're talking about the Enslaving. You guys know me. I'm always kind of like looking at things kind of cockeyed, like, what is this? But okay. So and I was kind of getting that feeling, right? It's like, is this just a bunch of horse manure, right? But again, I've never remote viewed. I think if I could and I did and had some results with it, I may change my mind, right? And that's why we talk about this stuff, because it just depends on maybe you guys can remote view. Maybe some of you out there have practiced this and have some sort of a way of doing this. I don't know. Like I said, but it did give me a bellyache to start a little bit. I was like, here we go, the reptilians. But okay, so I've heard this version of the hybrid aliens before, right? The gray aliens of sorts. They're heavily modified genetically to be not just maybe hybrids with some alien species, but also human DNA as well, which is, they've described with cattle mutilations and things like this. And, the actual alien abduction phenomenon is basically typically, the gray alien with the big eyes and like he described there. So that type of thing I've definitely heard of. The term itself, now, interestingly, I hadn't heard the term Enslaving before, but then I dug into it and looked up a bunch of those key words, right? And it's out there. It's been out there. So this isn't a new thing, which seems strange to me. But well, here we are. Just because we talk aliens for now and again on this show doesn't mean you know all the aliens, right? But yeah, so that was my first thought on this. Was like, okay, oh boy. But then it gets even weirder. Well, we got some clips to play as we go. But go ahead. What did you think when you first heard this?
So, this is all pretty much standard literature to me after all these years of studying this stuff. If you study Dr. David Jacobs' work, research, it's standard stuff. I would find either Dr. David Jacobs is like a complete misinformation agent or he's right. There is kind of no in between, right? Like he's either because he works with various clients and all this kind of stuff. He's either just completely making stuff up with malicious intent, or there's something going on here. So, but let me pull back a little. Let me sell this to you guys a little bit. So, it's you're hearing all this reptilians and hybrids, but look, it's alien. Like, what are you expecting to you hear when you like it literally the word alien means like something that you're not familiar with, right? Like that it's weird to you. So it is alien, like their methods, what they're doing, what's going on here on the planet. And like, if this stuff is happening, like as a human, you are unable to discern what it really would be or not. It's like impossible to predict. And, when the white man came to any indigenous population, if they saw the boats and the pale skin, and to them it was almost an alien experience, right? Like having so imagine these beings out there with technology so far above us. To them, it's just another day. To us, we're the caveman, we're the confused person not understanding what's going on, right? And to sell just a little more, I'll sell just a little more, just so you guys know, the universe is humongous. It's unfathomably big. And the probability, and you guys can look this up, the probability that there isn't other life is like basically impossible. And with the vastness of time for there to be other civilizations is also pretty impossible. There's trillions of galaxies, and we could spend, the next 10,000 years exploring just our galaxy, let alone trillions of galaxies. So for beings to come here and interact with the planet at some point would be ridiculous. And if those beings are out there, they would sort of control. They would be interacting with the planet. But anyway, go ahead. I'm just selling it.
All right. So that's what we're talking about tonight. So the question, we got a few questions here. What do you believe about remote viewing? That's the first one. Second, do you believe that these alpha draconians or whatever these are called are actually some sort of slave-ruling alien race from our galaxy or elsewhere? I know it sounds like a lot. Stay tuned. We're gonna dig into this and find out what the heck is really going on. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with our good friend Ash the Reptilian from Mars. Don't go anywhere. More Courtney Brown, remote viewing, reptilian aliens, and you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're here tonight with Ash, the Reptilian from Mars, and we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And, of course, my webcam is on the fritz, because that's the way it goes sometimes. Tonight, we're talking about remote viewing. We're talking about Courtney Brown. We're talking about reptilian aliens enslaving not just humanity, but other alien races. What are your thoughts on this? Love to hear what you think. Is this real? Is this fake? Is it somewhere in between? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Let's see if we can get Ash back on. Beep, beep, Earth to Ash. Are you there, buddy? Test 1, 2.
I'm here. What's up?
All right. Well, let's get back to this then. So this whole situation is strange. It starts oddly, but then where do we go from here? So it starts with Courtney Brown. Should we just play another clip or two and let him fill us in, or what do you want to do here? Actually, there was a question in the chat during the commercial. Let's address that first, and then we'll get to the rest of this other stuff. In that somebody asked what the remote viewing process looks like. Is it, like you said, some guy meditating in a room sort of thing, like eyes closed, eyes open? What does that look like? Is it like, do you enter a trance-like state? Is it something else entirely? Is it sort of just it comes to you in a moment? I don't know. What's that actually look like? Do you know?
So first of all, that's a very good question, and it's a question that's asked a lot. I think a lot of people are interested in this. I mean, we all, again, bringing up Star Wars, we all want to be Jedi, right? And it's interesting, like, that whole thing, and a lot of the abilities in that are supposedly the abilities that we're capable of, and it's like this remote viewing is part of that. And the theory is that you have a soul, and we all do, and that the souls are immortal. We're in a game, or I don't know. They don't have an explanation for that, but that you can use your soul to kind of send it anywhere in space-time and collect information. Now, that information that comes through, how's that process? What does that look like? It's very low bandwidth. You basically like meditate, you clear your mind, and it's a skill that you develop where you can kind of feel like, and there's techniques where you do it on paper where you can say, there's corners here, it's dry here. And the more you practice, the more you get a feel faster for what is there. So, someone would give you a target, which is just a number. They don't give you any hints. You're not supposed to have any hints at all. And it's all about quieting your mind and trying to collect data from that low bandwidth, that feeling. Now, someone mentioned the chat cuckoo. This might be like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I don't know if you guys are... It does sound like it, but so... I mean, is it real or not? There have been a lot of there was like detective cases solved like this. The military had their own program for quite a while, and the military, when they shut something down, they're still doing it. They're just doing it in a different capacity. And some of those military officials who've been doing it for a long time are on this guy's team. So these are professionals. Now, they can go back in time and remote view stuff. And you can't really validate whether it's real or not. But they have managed to predict the future consistently. Not 100%. It's not 100% science. And I mean, they predicted the George Floyd riots. They predicted a bunch of like accidents, volcanic eruptions. Some of it's general. You can just write it off to coincidence. So it's a very interesting subject. Check out the Farsight Institute. They have a lot of videos where they do projects, and take a look. And they also have literature there for you to try it yourself. I tried it, and I had some tremendous success that actually freaked me out. So I like to entertain all this stuff, but when stuff really happens in front of you or with you, it's a different experience. So I was able to like guess a house, and my one friend had a gray bird, and I got gray soft's couch. So I mean, it was pretty close. So yeah, and again, everyone's supposedly capable of it. We're at varying different levels, and it's something you can kind of hone in. And yeah, it's not really thrilling when you're doing it. You're literally just like on a paper, focusing and meditating, and it is kind of frustrating because it does take a while to cultivate that experience. But some of these guys are so good, they pop in and they can interact with other beings. It's kind of wild. So if you are interested, check out the Farsight. I mean, it could all be a BS. I can't confirm it, but it's very. If you think it's interesting, then it's fun content to consume for sure.
Yeah, Donna over on Rockfin says anyone can learn the technique for remote viewing. So that's the question tonight. What do you guys believe here? We're going to get to the Enslaving and the reptilian enslavement as we go. But do you believe remote viewing is real? Have you tried it yourself? Have you heard of Courtney Brown and this team? And what Ash was talking about there is Project Stargate. Look into that if you've never heard of it. They've got some very famous remote viewers that have had some bizarre successes. Sort of looking into just the world around them, sort of in spy-like capacities. And Ingo Swann is one name. Joe McMoneagle is another of those famous names back in the Project Stargate program. So again, this was kind of a run by the CIA as part of MK Ultra. And like I said, if there was nothing to this, you'd think they would just write it off and be like, oh, there's nothing to this. But they didn't. They stuck with this for quite a while, and it just seems pretty strange. Okay, so let's get back to this Courtney Brown thing and see what he's talking about regarding this reptilian hostage situation. And I only say that halfway tongue in cheek. Here we go. Let's play this part 2.
Part of the gray population is working to end this enslavement, but it is a very challenging thing to do. And that is what I'm here to explain to you today. So let's talk about how the grays became a slave race in the first place. They were easily enslaved long ago because they lacked emotional characteristics that we humans have. They were not able to control their free will because they lacked the emotional capability of seeing the difference between what they wanted and what they didn't want. That contrast between the wanted and that which is not wanted is essential for someone to have free will. So to get started, let's go through some basic summary points that can quickly get this conversation where it needs to be. Okay, the Reptilians are the primary group who enslaved the Greys. The Enslaving were created by Greys under the control of the Reptilians. Reptilians always work through intermediaries. They rarely interact with humans directly. The Greys were assigned the task of creating a hybrid population mixing humans and Greys in order to facilitate the control of the human population on Earth, thereby controlling the planet for the ultimate benefit of the Reptilians. Now, the Enslaving are designed to thrive in Earth's environment, not some other place. There is no need to have human-Grey hybrids that will not live on Earth. The Enslaving were created to live on Earth in a manner that is undetectable by humans. This is an aspect of planetary acquisition. The goal is to control the large human population by making them think that their leadership is human.
Okay, and that's one we've heard before, right? Where we have actual hybrids on the planet here, like alien hybrids, sort of as the rulers, right? As the the elite ruling class, and some people have speculated the Vatican and like the church, what's her name, the Queen of England, and things like this, right? David Icke has talked about some of this stuff, and so I don't know, like he's describing sort of like a what you would call sort of that galactic federation sort of thing, right? With like, so not just politics here on Earth, but we're talking exopolitics. We're talking like slave race stuff from like a reptilian alien race. I mean, it sounds unbelievable. I don't know. Take on that, Ash?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is kind of wild. It's like, to what extent would alien stuff be similar and different than like kind of how we do it here on Earth, right? And either or is surprising. If it's really different, it's like, oh, that's weird. If it's the same, it's like, that's also weird, right? Yeah. So basically, he's looking into this. This data, this conclusion comes from a lot of different programs, internally and public.
You're cutting out just a smidge, Ash. I don't know what you can do. You're cutting out just a smidge. Test 1, 2. Are you there?
Hello, testing 1, 2. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Is that better? I hear you.
Yeah. Better. Go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So this isn't a conclusion where they just remote viewed, spent 5 minutes, and this is like they've been gathering this data for a while. They've done a bunch of projects. They found aliens, and then they found that imagine you're learning a remote view, whatever, and you're remote viewing a subject, and there's a being there, an alien. So first off, it's already surprising. Second, the alien turns and looks at you and starts communicating with you using the same abilities. That's the kind of experiences that the remote viewers had, which was really weird. So this is like an ongoing thing where they're collecting information. I contacted them not too long ago, like actually a couple of years ago, right, Mike? I think it was a couple of years ago. And I said, hey, have you looked into the abduction phenomenon? And I won't go into it, but Dr. David Jacobs, he'll bring that up. So there's all this material, there's these books, and he'll bring it up. But what's crazy is I sent him all that information before they were really looking into that. They were looking into other stuff, which was validating the stuff I was reading about the abductions. Same beings. I mean, a mantis being. There's no two people who are going to come up with, Zorak from Ghost to Ghost. So when I started seeing mantis beings in their stuff, I was like, what the heck? What is going on with these mantises, these bugs? Is this a real thing? And anyway, so I reached out. We went back and forth. Nice guy. I'm surprised he even responded. And I dumped all that stuff there. I didn't think he even paid attention. And then, so you can see my surprise, a couple years later, they're really into this stuff. They did look into it. So, really excited. This is like really exciting for me personally. I don't know if any of this is true, and I don't think you guys should swallow this hook, line, and sinker. But it's pretty crazy. So I guess we'll just keep going, right?
Yeah, let's play a little bit more here. So again, what do you guys think about this? We are taking our phone calls tonight. We're here with our good friend Ash, the Reptilian from Mars, and we're talking about this idea that a reptilian race is enslaving not just humanity, but then these gray aliens and these hybrids, which he's calling the Enslaving. And again, this is information that was derived from remote viewing sessions through farsight.org, Courtney Brown and his team, and that's what we're talking about right now. So what do you think? Do you think this stuff is real, or do you think this is just like some sort of bizarre LARP? You tell me. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on. It's Troubled Minds with Mike and Ash. Let's go. More of this. More from Courtney Brown describing exactly what this Enslaving stuff is all about. Here we go. Part 3 action.
But it would be the Enslaving who are controlling the humans, either directly or indirectly. Now, the controlling Enslaving would themselves be controlled by the Reptilians, who are working through their other slave races, such as the Greys and the Insectoids. Now, within the reptilian-controlled hierarchy, no one is not a slave except the reptilians themselves. Again, reptilians always work with intermediaries, which is why they are seen so rarely. The Reptilians see the Essassani as more of a slave bureaucratic workforce that is supposed to manage the human population on Earth, a strategy of planetary acquisition that is designed to lessen the chance of open rebellion. The Reptilians do not fully trust the Essassani, since the Essassani are composed of human and gray DNA. The Reptilians know that the Essassani could be tempted to leave the orbit of the Reptilians, so the Reptilians have their own hybrid program that is half reptilian and half human. But we will not be talking about that today, nor will we be talking about the various intermediaries that the Reptilians use to control a planet. The Essassani are an essential key to humanity's liberation. It is not just an issue of the liberation of the Essassani themselves. Humanity cannot survive in this galaxy without regaining their natural telepathic and neural capabilities. Now, I'm going to describe more about that later in this intelligence briefing. But crucial to all that I will say today is the fact that the Essassani can be infected with humanity's humanness, especially human emotions. The Essassani can defect from the Reptilians, and this process has already begun.
Okay, all right, a lot there, and so we have there's some main characters here. The Reptilians who enslave all, right? They're just sort of like the slave. Like the overlords, right? The alien overlords that not just enslave humanity, the Greys, and this Essassani hybrid race situation that apparently look like humans as well. He's talking about the Essassani can be infected with humanness somehow. So there's a distinction, but apparently they look like us too. It just seems a little wild here as we get going. But that's how this begins, right? And it gets deeper. It gets way deeper than that. So we got a phone call. A quick take on that before we take the phone call, Ash?
Fun fact, all the remote viewing groups, whether government, internal, external, when they go out into space, they see reptilians. Super consistent. Different remote viewers, different groups. So, and the whole hybrid thing's crazy. My thought is, and let this stew, if they've done this now, if they're doing this now, well, have they done it in the past? And are some of our leaders, we always make the joke, they're reptilians. Well, maybe they're hybrids. You wouldn't know. You would not know. And maybe they've been placed there to be our leaders a long time ago. If you look at the Catholic Church, there's like a reptilian, that one Catholic Church is like literally a snake. And then you look for the symbolism throughout all of history. And so it's this missing link that kind of fills in the blanks, and that these beings, these aliens, can't live here. Look at coronavirus and stuff like that. It's too dangerous, right? You have to earn your right to live here through evolution and stuff like that. So if they want beings to live here, they would have to use humanity. The hybridization would have to be a process. So anyway, let's go to the call.
Yeah, perfect timing. The phone line just dropped.
Oh, dang.
Let me get it back. Literally, you're like, oh, let's go to the call. It's like, bloop. hang on.
I was trying to make it quick.
No. It's just it's been actually pretty poor the last 3 days. The phone line's been pretty much a mess. So yeah, it's not you. You. All right, hang tight. I see you there, Jack. We're going to get to you in just one moment. We're taking your phone calls, guys. What do you know about remote viewing? What do you believe with this? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We're here with Ash, and we're talking remote viewing and this idea that this Draco reptilian race is somehow enslaving the galaxy, or even more than that, maybe the universe at large. So let's go to Jack in Oregon. What's up, Jack? Welcome to Troubled Minds. You're on with Mike and Ash. Go right ahead, sir.
Oh, hello once again.
Good evening. What do you know about remote viewing and this reptilian stuff? You think it's BS, or you think there's something to it?
Well, I think cell phones are like a kind of a new invention, and that people have always been remote viewing for ages and ages.
Okay.
Yeah, and as far as like reptilians dominating things, I would have to say that if there was ever like an artificial intelligence, something computerized, made of rock, consciousness that is not made of flesh, it probably pretty much trumped those guys. I mean, reptiles are cool and everything, but hey, they're temporary.
Yeah. True. So do you believe this stuff is real? Do you think this stuff is real?
Well, real in the realm of Maya and illusion and whatever people go through from day to day. I mean, if you can imagine it, I suppose it's real. I mean, right?
Yeah, I like that line of thinking there, and again, that's why, like I said, I'm not trying to pin you down here and make you validate this stuff, because it's not like that. Just what are your thoughts? And so I'm with you in that if you can imagine it, maybe it is real. Maybe us imagining it makes it real. That's hard to say. That's definitely hard to say. What about remote viewing? What do you know about that?
Well, I would have to say, like I've experienced a couple instances in my life where, like, everybody was thinking the same thing and finishing each other's sentences and that kind of thing. And that kind of really makes me feel that, everybody's kind of connected in a way. And, yeah, I think everybody's kind of connected in a way, basically.
Okay. Sort of like go ahead, Ash, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Like there's something there, right? And it's, And it kind of like to your point before, if you can imagine it's real, it's like, we're in the territory of who knows, right? So, at the end of the day, I don't know if any of this stuff is 100% true either, but it's pretty interesting, and it's kind of fun to entertain, and at the end of the day, nobody really has the answers. No one can show you, right? Unless Justin Bieber goes and peels off his skin in front of you, but and there's a lizard face underneath there. But yeah, have you had like weird experiences, like synchronicities and stuff like that, made you feel like there's something more there?
Sure, absolutely. Synchronicities, absolutely. And I would bet that probably 98% of your listening audience is either like had like odd synchronicities or outright miracles, the things that they've seen that are just like a little bit like, well, you can't really talk about it, but nevertheless it happened.
That makes sense,
man, for sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, as you know, we call it drinking the maybe juice. We're off the rails most times here anyway. So, reptilian aliens to me is like, meh. Okay, we'll do this tonight. So, but the thing is, I don't know, like regarding all of this stuff, if it was, I think you got to think in terms of the long cycle. And if this has been going on for a very, very long time, humans are just kind of like, a drop in the bucket time wise to the time, within the universal bounds. So, to me, it's sort of believing that something like this could have been happening for a very, very long time. Like, you look at a show like Stargate and things like this. Maybe. I mean, I think that how would we know? You would have to be able to detect this stuff, and the huge technology gap would be incredible. And of course, they'd be able to hide themselves from us if they wanted to. I mean, there's a lot to this. But we got about 30 seconds left for you, Jack. Go ahead with your final thought here.
Final thought. If reptilians are ruling the galaxy, I would have to say that a computer is probably like ruling them. And then secondly, if Elon Musk is going to Mars, I bet he takes a boring machine with him.
To get underground. I love it. Jack, you're the best. Thanks so much for the phone call. Thanks for listening. Always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night, bro.
Later.
There you go. Phone lines work when they work. 702-957-1037. Give us a call. What do you think about remote viewing? What do you know about this Draco reptilian enslavement? And is this just too far off the rails this time, Mike? Now you've done it. One more time. We're here with Ash the Reptilian from Mars. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and looking to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Courtney Brown, on remote viewing, on this idea that reptilians are enslaving the galaxy? One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with our good friend Ash the Reptilian from Mars. And we'll be right back with more Reptilians, remote viewing, and you when we return. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing that. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. Random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here tonight with our co-host, Ash the Reptilian from Mars. And we'd like to say hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What is going on? It's Wednesday night, which means it's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things that we're not allowed to talk about? Well, how about this? In a nutshell, aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We got a doozy for you tonight as we're discussing, that's right, reptilian aliens. We're talking remote viewing, we're talking the Farsight Institute, Courtney Brown, Project Stargate, and is there something to all of this or not at all, or anywhere in between? If you want to be part of the show, as always, the secret weapon of troubled minds is you. You can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show, and it's as simple as that. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, DLive, Twitter, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Please join the Fringe Discord at fringe.fm/chat. And also, please download the Fringe app. It's completely free. You can find it on the iTunes App Store and, of course, the Android App Store as well. Let's get see if we can contact Ash. Beep, beep. Are you there? Test 1, 2. Ash the Reptilian. How's the uplink to Mars, my friend?
Beep, beep. I'm a sheep.
All right. Well, don't eat any of the sheep. At least if you do, make sure it's a kosher slaughter. Pretty please. All right.
No promises. No promises.
All right. No promises there. All right. So Ash here, a longtime friend of the show. He was a co-host for quite some time. Actually, back in the time of COVID, if you remember that, Ash and I had made a bunch of predictions way back in January of 2020 that I talk about from time to time, which is why we don't even talk about the pandemic anymore, because we said all we needed to say in that first couple months, really. And it is odd how some of those things have come to pass that back then we were called conspiracy theorists. Now I don't know, were we just Nostradamus or something? Mike Stradamus, Astradamus? What do we think, Ash?
Astradamus.
That seems hot, right? That's
kind of cool. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
You know what happens when you suggest something I like? next thing you know, I'm a reptilian from Mars.
Yeah, exactly. Then next thing you know. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're discussing remote viewing, Courtney Brown, and the rest of this. And do you think that there is something to it? I'd love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to Troubled Minds. You're on with Mike and Ash. Go right ahead, sir.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
All right. So I was thinking, like, maybe lizards, they're pretty old. They're like dinosaur old. At least that's what Google said. And I was thinking maybe in our evolution, if you're taking it that way, then like they would probably be our predator at some point. They would be eating us probably, because lizards, I don't know. I was thinking that's a way that we would have our brain, like remote viewing lizards and stuff. Maybe our brain still holds a grudge on lizards because like when we were getting out of the water, then they would come in herds and get us, and we weren't who we are today, but we were part, that's like an evolutionary look at it.
Yeah.
But, maybe
that's a good point.
Maybe I was thinking also like we could be in like the dream of a lizard. Like, cause I dreamt one time that I worked at a meat packing plant for like a year and a half, almost 2 years. And it was a pig slaughtering plant. And in the dream, it was like one of the first, it was real quick, or not quick. It was like in the beginning of when I worked there, I had a dream that there was a gate at the entrance that wasn't there at the time. It was a huge gate. And I was a pig and I escaped out of the gate and I got in a car and I drove away and I was with another pig and we were like, yeah, we're out of here, dude. And like in that gate, they built it a year later with they didn't announce it or anything. It's a huge corporation. So they just, one day it was just like, there's a high security gate. And that's like kind of an example of like viewing into the future and being able to view into like animals and stuff.
Yeah.
Trippy.
If we are all connected, if we're all connected in some way, then that like I said, I think that's the thing where I'm on board with this, is that there are these unseen connections between people. It's like, kind of like Ash keeps bringing up Star Wars. It fits, the Force connects all living things together. This unseen something, right? We're connected some way, even if we can't really define it quite yet. I think that's where I'm on board with this for sure. Regarding remote viewing itself, like I said, until I see it or get some evidence myself, I'm still, the jury's out, let's say. But to take on his dream there or anything else, Ash, I do like the maybe we're in the dream of a reptile. I like that one. Very good.
Yeah. I know everyone who's listening, you guys have had a dream where you like predict something in the future, something trippy happens. This doesn't happen to me all the time, but I'll have a dream and every piece of that dream is something about tomorrow. So I wake up, I have my day, and everything from my dream correlates with something that happens during that whole day. Those are freaky moments, and like, you mark 2 of them down, but once you get to the 5th one, you're like, and there's a good point about our reptilians. So like lizards are, as far as evolving, you mentioned, that they're in our history, but it seems like a lizard is like would be a common evolution. So for there to be lizard, if there are smart beings out there that evolved on other planets or maybe came from our planet, they're probably going to be lizards, right? So that's a good point. Good stuff. I love it.
Go right ahead, Joseph. What else you got?
Yeah, that was basically it. And like the lizard dream I had, that I was talking about, like they were like predator looking. I don't know if this, it's like crazy how like all these stories that you talk about, they like correlate with like the dreams I remember. But I think like some of these dreams that I don't write them down or anything. I just kind of go off of memory. Some of them are more powerful. Like, that's why I remember it. Like, I have dreams, but of course I'm going to remember the one with the lizard in it.
Yeah, right.
Over all of them.
Yeah, it's sort of that kind of like arachnophobia, right? It's like it's sort of built into our DNA to have this aversion of spiders and reptiles and things like this because, like I said, they've probably been chasing us for so long, for millions of years or whatever. So we just get the EBGBs. Like my dreams recently, I keep having this bizarre dream of that. I was talking about a little bit about it last night of just this giant reptile eyeball in the window, like watching me, like it's waiting for me to walk out of the house to eat me or something. I don't know. So bizarre. Good stuff as always, Joseph. You're the best. Anything else while we got you on?
Yeah, I mean, and if they use telepathy and stuff, that feeling that you got when you were in that dream, that's probably the feeling that vibe that it was giving off, you know? So you say it had like a bad vibe.
Yeah. That reptile, whatever is in that dream has bad intentions. I'll tell you that. That's for sure. Yeah, it's not trying to help me out. 100%. It definitely gives me the not good vibe. 100%, man.
That's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's very interesting, actually.
They're watching me. I'm telling you, they're watching me. The Draco Reptilians are watching me now. See, maybe it's all coming together. I appreciate it, Joe.
Well, they remote viewed who's kind of managing Earth and stuff like that, and they're Reptilians, and they're remote viewing here, and so if this is true, and I'm not saying it is, if it is true, it's the most important thing in all of humanity. And if these beings are implementing this plan and they're covertly doing it, things like this, getting the word out, are a threat. So, I'm not saying it, but small chance, but they would be they'd be paying attention to these kind of mediums. And if you're saying stuff, whatever, and they could be even looking in the future and managing timelines and seeing that you do something in the future. So anyway, creepy, Mike. Creepy story.
Hey, it's the truth. Joseph, thank you so much. Appreciate the call, my friend. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydro Hose. Check it out. Links in the description. Scroll on down and give him a follow. Thanks, Joseph. Appreciate the call. Thanks for listening, bro. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Have a great night. There you go. Also, Ash here has a YouTube channel, which we didn't plug this second hour. So please also as well, scroll down right there in the comments down below. It says follow Ash. Just click his YouTube channel. He's doing some good stuff over there as well, talking about remote viewing and aliens and all the rest of the stuff we're talking about tonight. So if you want to be part of the show, good stuff from Joseph. Appreciate that. We're talking about this idea that you can remote view and that some of these, the most notable remote viewers on Earth at this point are seeing this idea of these aliens, and not just the gray aliens, the hybrid aliens that he's calling the Enslaving, and then also these reptilians that supposedly are enslaving not just other alien races but humanity itself. So what are your thoughts here? Do you think this is real or not, or anywhere in between? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Ash, anything? And we got clips to play, but if you got thoughts, let's hear them.
Yeah, just kind of just so you guys, it's a lot of different parts. It's kind of hard to explain. I think Jacobs does a good job, but there's a lot of context left out because there's so much here. And just to simplify it, some professor, his name's Dr. David Jacobs, looks into the abduction thing, finds consistent patterns. After 15 years of research of working with these people who are the victims of this stuff, he comes to find out that it's true. Well, this is what he says, that there's so many consistencies between these people who don't even know each other. There's something there. And that ultimately gray aliens are making hybrid, a human-alien hybrid, and the results are a human-looking being that has these the faculties of a gray alien. And so this guy looks at abductions. This is the story he finds out. I reach out to these remote viewing guys and say, hey, can you guys take a look at this? I don't know if that did anything. I'm not saying it did. I'm just, putting it out there. But then they look into this stuff after finding out all their information, and they find out that at the top of this hierarchy are reptilians, that this is kind of how they use to control planets. They create hybrids, and that the hybrids are there to influence world leaders and to enact a sort of indirect control system. And that, from what they understand, this is a very political part of space. Conflict is not allowed. So you can't just, take over. You have to kind of get consent of the planet and get consent of the leaders, our government. They traded them technology. They let them abduct us. That's why they don't want it to come out. That's the real reason. And that this is what's been going on. And so the government screwed up, and they kind of sold us out, and they're trying to lock it down, influence world leaders, and that's potentially why you see all this weird change, the Great Reset, all this stuff could be coming from this. So anyway, not saying it's true, just saying this did not come from one person. This is a picture that's a puzzle that's being put together by a bunch of different people. So, you know what? UFOs are real, okay? At least we can go from, we're out in left field, at least UFOs are real. So I know it's a big jump, and I'm not saying it's real, but entertain it. Okay, that's a narrative that's in your head, and a lot of people put a lot of effort in this narrative, and we'll see. But we can listen to more. I think he explains more stuff, a lot of interesting things. There's a lot here again. It's kind of hard to dig into, actually. That's so much. Yeah, it's okay. Let's let him explain it. Again, this is Courtney Brown from the Farsight Institute, and he's talking about remote viewing, this thing going on with the reptilian aliens and how they're enslaving not just humanity, but also other hybrid aliens as well, the Greys included. So let's hear this other clip, and let's keep on trucking. There we go, and action. But it would be the Enslaving who are controlling the humans, either directly or indirectly. Now, the controlling Enslaving would themselves be controlled by the Reptilians, who are working through their other slave races, such as the Greys and the Insectoids. Now, within the Reptilian-controlled hierarchy, no one is not a slave except the Reptilians themselves. Again, Reptilians always work with intermediaries, which is why they are seen so rarely. The Reptilians see the Enslaving as more of a slave bureaucratic workforce that is supposed to manage the human population on Earth, a strategy of planetary acquisition that is designed to lessen the chance of open rebellion. The Reptilians do not fully trust the Enslaving, since the Enslaving are composed of human and gray DNA. The Reptilians know that the Enslaving could be tempted to leave the orbit of the Reptilians, so the Reptilians have their own hybrid program that is half reptilian and half human. But we will not be talking about that today, nor will we be talking about the various intermediaries that the Reptilians use to control a planet. The Enslaving are an essential key to humanity's liberation. It is not just an issue of the liberation of the Enslaving themselves. Humanity cannot survive in this galaxy without regaining their natural telepathic and neural capabilities. Now, I'm going to describe more about that later in this intelligence briefing. But crucial to all that I will say today is the fact that the Enslaving can be infected with humanity's humanness, especially human emotions. The Enslaving can defect from the Reptilians, and this process has already begun. Okay, oops, I think I already played that clip, so we'll go with clip 4 in just a sec here. But okay, so it's good to kind of circle it back for a minute there and see what he's saying, right? So again, that term Enslaving is not new. It does go back to, I found links to the individual named Bashar, which we've talked about in another show that actually Ash was on as well, and how individuals claim to channel entities from other maybe dimensions, or maybe other places in the universe, or maybe both. And Bashar is channeled by, let's see, if you go to bashar.org, channeled by an individual by the name of, what is this guy's name? It is, it's on the tip of my tongue, Daryl Anka. Daryl Anka is the guy's name. And so he is supposedly, they say that he is
at least in contact with this race named the what are they called? Let's see what I just did there. Enslaving. But okay, so anyway, let's go ahead. Anything on that, Ash, real quick, and we'll play one more clip.
Oh, did he mention that name? I didn't know. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So this actually traces back to him, the Enslaving. So Bashar channels. A lot of this comes from him, I believe. So I was do a search. Just do a few searches on the Enslaving, and you'll see that a lot of it goes back to this Bashar guy. Anyway, so there you go. That's where I found it anyway, at least on the internet. And as we know, if it's on the internet, it must be true. That's I think that's a lot.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's locked in. You can't get away from that, right? So all right. So there you go. Anything on that before we play the next clip? Get us caught up here.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that, and that's pretty interesting. That it is interesting that the telepathic component of all this. You dig into this, and you're like, all right, I want to find out if it's purple aliens or green aliens, and then telepathy, remote viewing, abductions, reptilians. It's like, what the heck is going on here? But that like most of these beings, when you remote view or you hear abductions or stuff, have these sort of telepathic abilities. I don't know how that works. I actually really want to do a show. I'm going to do a future show where I try and just figure that out. Is it genetic? Is it technology? What is that? And how does that work? And we can kind of go that together. If you do have any information about any of this stuff and that you're interested, please share with me, and then I'll look through it, and it can contribute to us figuring this out. We can figure this out together. That's the point of this show. And that's the point of my show. My show is to go a little further out in the left field, but yeah, this is all really interesting stuff. It's like, what's going on here? I see a lot of good stuff in the chat. People are kind of heard this stuff before. If you've heard of the Allies Against Humanity, it's supposedly a download that this one guy got from extraterrestrials, and it all lines up with all of this stuff as well. So we're kind of getting this convergence of all these different fields and different groups kind of falling into this sort of this narrative. This is like, again, this is a puzzle being put together. So let's hear some more. Let's get into it. And as always, if you guys are interested in this, you want to tell us a story, if you want to tell us that this stuff is crazy, if you're into remote viewing, if you've seen a reptilian, there's a couple people called in and saw those. Please call in, share with us. This is a conversation, and I appreciate that you're here to talk about this stuff. Could potentially be crazy. Could potentially be the most important thing in all of human history, and you might be a part of that, whether it's crazy or important. So please call in, and let's listen to some more.
Okay, we actually are coming up to a break here, so I got to cut that short while I play a clip as soon as we come back. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We're kind of kicking it here, kicking it with our friends, talking about weird stuff by night like we do. And tonight it's remote viewing. It's not just this individual by the name of Dr. Courtney Brown and the Farsight Institute, but also his idea that, and again, a lot of research and remote viewing sessions and teams of people and all the rest of this have gone into these ideas. But the idea that we have an actual reptilian race out there enslaving not just humanity, but other alien races, including this Enslaving, which seem to be, as according to him, some sort of hybrid alien that's living here amongst humans, just right alongside of us, and everything's as you would expect, I guess. So here's what
recently made too. Recently made, fresh out of the oven.
Yeah, this is actually this just came out. So the video is linked in the description if you want to check it out. But that's what we're talking about tonight. And as always, we're drinking the maybe juice and taking a lot of this with a grain of salt. And what do you believe? Do you think remote viewing's real? Do you think there are draconian aliens, or do you think this is all just something else? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Ash the Reptilian from Mars. Don't go anywhere. More remote viewing, Courtney Brown, reptilian aliens, and you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we're here with our good friend Ash the Reptilian from Mars, and we're discussing remote viewing. What do you think about remote viewing? What about the Farsight Institute? What about Courtney Brown? What about these claims of a draconian, what would you say, lizard alien race that have enslaved humanity? Is this real? Is this not? Is it somewhere in between? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. There's some more here we're going to play from Courtney Brown in just a sec. But let's check in with Ash, make sure our uplink to Mars is still working well. Beep, beep. Earth to Mars. Are you there, sir? Ash, do you copy? Test 1, 2. Maybe not. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to play this clip and keep on trucking. One more time. 702-957-1037. He did say he had to step away for a sec. So here we go. Let's do this. This is the Courtney Brown remote viewing in talking about this race of aliens called the Enslaving. And they are hybrid aliens. Here we go. Part 4, action.
There is a very active Enslaving resistance movement. Deep inside, no Isby wants to be a slave. And remember, we are all Isbys, which are subjects who simply exist for the sake of being. This is a free will universe, and since the Enslaving are Isbys, just like us humans, deep inside, all Enslaving want to be free. But they have been so thoroughly controlled that most Enslaving do not fully recognize their own slavery condition. We call this group the enslaved Enslaving, and they are the ones who operationalize the abduction phenomenon that Dr. Jacobs writes about. But some do recognize the condition of the enslaved Enslaving, and they are the Enslaving resistance movement. You see, in a free will universe, it is impossible to have a slave population without a resistance movement. But the Enslaving also have another group that we call the Enslaving Vanguard, which is more of a leadership group that helps develop overall strategy. The Enslaving Vanguard works with the Enslaving resistance movement, and one of their goals is to help liberate the enslaved Enslaving. Now, let's talk about humanity's goals, and I'm going to break this up into 2 parts. The short-term goal of humanity must be to cooperate with the Enslaving resistance movement and the Enslaving Vanguard to free both the Enslaving and humanity from reptilian control. Most Enslaving don't even know that they are controlled by the Reptilians. From an oppressor's point of view, the best slaves are those who do not even know that they are slaves. The defecting Enslaving will fight for liberation because they are influenced by their human emotions.
Okay, so there's the part that I meant to play that last time instead of the double clip. But yeah, I mean, so now we're talking about different factions. We're talking about not just these Enslaving alien hybrid slaves that not only don't know they're slaves, there's also a resistance that's trying to kind of throw off the shackles of these the draconian reptile overlords. So I don't know. Take on that, Ash, on the different beep beep Earth to Ash. I think you're back.
Yep. I'm here.
Okay. So what's your take on that? So there apparently now this is getting more and more wild in that if we're talking about alien factions, clearly this is like a exopolitical situation, that exopolitics, like Dr. Michael Sala always says. But if there's factions, there's resistances, there's like this draconian slave reptile race. I mean, what the hell is going on with this, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty complicated, right? There's all these different layers and all this kind of stuff, the Enslaving and Reptilians, control structures. And I can't, none of us can really confirm any of this, right? And so we are drinking the maybe juice, but this isn't out of nowhere. This is a kind of a quilt or a puzzle kind of being put together by a variety of different information. So these beings that were created, these hybrids, it's basically like aliens can't live here. Like, what's the movie? War of the Worlds? All the aliens die because viruses and bacteria. And, I mean, I get sick all the time. So you can only imagine, right? Like an extraterrestrial being. there's even stories of beings, people seeing beings like crashing and getting out, and there's like this devil in this like one town, and it looks sick. It like started dying right away, and this is a gnarly planet. We got some crazy animals on this sucker, so this is probably like, you know, the hood for aliens. This is not a safe place for them. So they would have to hybridize. They would have to use our genetics to kind of get a foothold on this planet, and that's what's being described here. Is that this program is a foothold, and because of the political situation of where we are in the galaxy, invasion and outright invasion isn't possible. Now we're talking about this faction, the Reptilians and all these kind of stuff. These remote viewers say there's another faction. So I call these guys like the collective, the hive mind. They're all like connected, and can like override each other, and they kind of like, it kind of sounds like it sucks, right? Well, then there's another faction called the Galactic Federation of Worlds. We've kind of heard about that in the news, like a year or so ago, that Israeli space officer mentioned. And they're like more like free. They're like the good guys, per se. You know, they're not perfect. They have like a sort of democracy going on, according to these remote viewers that they found these guys. And they supposedly respect free will. So if humanity decides that they want to trade with these beings for weapons or whatever stupid stuff our government does, and then we basically become corrupted and co-opted, that's okay, right? You can't take over the third world countries directly, but you can influence them, like what China does to third world countries and give them money, until one day you kind of serve China. You don't want to really speak out against them. So it's kind of like that. And that supposedly our political leaders are being swindled by these beings. You know, they can make you feel like you're having a religious experience. But what he's describing is that these beings that were created for this purpose are victims themselves. That they are part of that hierarchy of slavery. And that being free, being human, we're so stubborn. You know, we got freedom in the veins so much, it's like causing issues for this whole program. So anyway, that's the story. It's pretty definitely maybe juice for sure. Like we're definitely out in left field, going right, left. I mean, we're over the gate. We're in the parking lot right now, right? But you know, you can't disprove it, you can't prove it, and that's kind of how we have to accept that. And these guys hopefully are doing their best to try and figure this stuff out. So, and there's more to this story too.
Yeah, there's more. We'll play another clip here in just a sec. Brian in the chat says he's only eating alligator meat after this. So there you go. There's your resistance right there. All right. So,
I saw actually. No, it's funny. I just saw a skinned alligator at like a local deli or something. Dude, have you seen the muscle on those suckers? The tail? Oh man, they're scary. Dude. No, like that's some thick meat right there.
Yeah, never seen one actually in person. They don't have them out here in the West, unfortunately. No Florida man here. Okay, so we're still talking about looking here from you guys. What do you think? Remote viewing, is this real? We're talking about Dr. Courtney Brown and his team of remote viewers at Farsight Institute. And so he's saying that there's this race of alien hybrids known as the Enslaving, and that they're actually here on Earth with us. They live among us, and they even look like us. We just don't really realize there's a connection there, and it's pretty deep here because he's got an entire thing. So this is just a teaser, by the way. He calls it the intelligence briefing in the YouTube video. You can scroll down, links in the description there. But he's got an entire presentation. It goes way deeper than this. I think it's coming out, or just came out, or it's on the way anyway. So this is just a teaser of what's to come. So what do you believe? This is always what it comes down to. Do you think that remote viewing is real? Do you think that people are able to reach out into the cosmos with their mind and determine maybe these other things, and maybe determine that this reptilian race is some sort of overlord to humanity and other aliens and the rest of this? I don't know. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's play the last part of this. This is really just his intro. But part 5 from Dr. Courtney Brown and the Farsight Institute. Action.
They will not fight because they are told to fight. They will fight when they are inspired by both humans and the free Essassani to want to be like them. The free Essassani will both experience and embrace free will. The enslaved Essassani do not understand free will. They always must have a purpose. Someone always has to tell them what to do so that they can fulfill that purpose. They do not recognize that they can determine their own fate and seek to fulfill their own desires. And now this is really important. Part of humanity's enslavement is determined by humanity's genes. Humans were specifically genetically engineered not to have telepathic or neural powers so that they can be controlled more easily. The lack of those mental capabilities is not natural. It is designed into the prison setup. Humanity cannot survive in our galaxy without regaining those mental capabilities. The free Essassani are the only ones willing to help humans do this. So how can you tell if an Essassani is working for the oppressors or the free Essassani? Well, there are some basic characteristics, and this is how I personally organize this. In my view, the Essassani who work for the oppressors, either directly or indirectly, tend to do the following.
Okay, he's got a huge list here that we'll get to as we go tonight. But so he's saying that so not only are there these Essassani hybrid aliens, but then also there's part of them that are part of the enslaved that don't know they're slaves, right? Like you said, the best way to keep slavery in as an institution is to not let people know they're slaves, right? Don't get me started on taxes. But the other thing is that he says there's a whole other faction, right? A whole other faction here that's sort of like the breakaway civilization of the Essassani, right, where they're trying to free their brethren that don't know that they are slaves, and so they're actually a faction that is kind of broken off, and they're actually contesting the will of these reptilian overlords. So take on that, Ash.
Well, it's interesting, right? How the way to control the mind and people. If you don't know, right? If you don't know you even have money, then how easy is it for me to steal it? And you're not gonna be upset about it, right? In the first place. And so, just like this is supposed Essassani is being controlled, we are also being controlled. You have to ask yourself. Statistically, there are aliens. So where are the aliens? And if the aliens have this advanced technology and stuff, they could show themselves, so why don't they? So you can assume it's a benevolent reason that they don't want to influence humanity, yada, yada, yada. But you also have to assume potentially it's a malevolent reason. And that it's a population that's not aware of these beings are easier to control. So, when people hear reptilians and stuff, they think, oh, that's crazy talk. And it potentially may well be. But what if it's not? What if this stuff is true? Then you kind of are just walking into slavery, right? Like, if it's out there, if you put it out there, I think there's like a imperative where they kind of have to tell you that this is going on. But if they tell you through movies and media and symbolism, then you've kind of been told, and then it's okay. And you kind of accept the permission of that. But because it's kind of icky and weird, you don't want to deal with it. And look, I don't want to deal with this stuff either. It's crazy stuff. And it doesn't bring a lot of benefit to your life to like talk about reptilians to people. I'd try it. It doesn't go very well. But just like these beings, it takes bravery to like open your mind and accept these things. So if you're listening right now, I appreciate your bravery and your open-mindedness. And again, this could all be baloney, or you could be part of like saving the world. And it really be like that though, And so anyway, that's why for me, that's why I kind of entertain this, and I'm always curious. I want to know what's going on. And so anyway, with the slavery thing, Essassani, it's interesting. And I was into this before, but this is new information to me. This stuff he's talking about right now, I've been looking into this stuff for years. This is new information. I didn't know this stuff a week ago. So for me, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So here's a link actually from Exopedia, Essassani, right? This is where I found the link to Bashar. It says Daryl Anka channels Bashar, who is a member of the Essassani. They are a collective that exists on a different frequency of reality, which is coincident with a parallel reality 700 years in the future, and that they are physiologically a hybrid race, which is a genetic combination of the human and the Orion Greys, otherwise called the Dow, D-O-W. They are said to have Eurasian looks, but with enlarged eyes. They're about 5 feet tall with whitish skin. The females have white hair, and the males have no hair. That's from Dr. Joshua David Stone. The Essassani would reside in the Orion constellation, they say, and are a higher vibrational, non-physical race. Not all the information on the Essassani is channeled. And that's where I, again, found a link here. Links in the description, guys, if you want to check it out. I don't know. That's odd to me that some people. So this claims that they're not a physical thing, but Courtney Brown here is describing them as a physical thing, and even describes later on in this his intelligence briefing, which again links in the description. Check it out. Is that they do meet with humans, and they're afraid of humans even, which is a little bit strange. We'll play that clip as we go tonight, but I don't know. So take on that it kind of traces back to Bashar and the idea of the dimensional realities. Ash, what you got on that?
I don't know about all that stuff. I believe in manifesting reality, and they remote viewed Bashar, and they found some weird stuff. They remote viewed him and then followed his link back to a thing, and like there's a being influencing him. So, is Bashar right in all this? I don't know. And as far as these entities, the spiritual, they did remote view and find that souls are real, and that the future is mostly undecided, and that it kind of collapses in a decision. So as far as the universe, multidimensional entities, all this kind of stuff, dude, I don't know. I don't know myself, but yeah, it's very interesting. It's definitely, as a human, I can only understand so much, right? And I think that's part of the design. I think that's part of it. These guys, these Farsight Institute, Courtney Brown, they get into some of that, where they get into what happens to you when you die, and the souls, and they even saw JFK when he got assassinated, his soul leave and go to the other realm, and his soul was greeted by other beings. So, I mean, there's a lot of mysteries to life and reality. And, if we're to take any of this stuff, any of it is real, it implicates that there is something more. There's that reality's stranger than fiction, so it's crazy stuff.
For sure. So just to give you an idea of who Courtney Brown is here, this is from the farsight.org page. It says the director is Dr. Courtney Brown. He's founded the Farsight Institute as a research and educational organization in 1995. He is director for this unique nonprofit educational organization, and he has never received any financial compensation for his work at the Institute. Dr. Brown's primary research interest at the Institute is in a new field of sociophysics, a science that integrates the areas of mathematics, social science, and physics with the study of consciousness. Some of his research bears directly on issues addressing quantum mechanics and cosmology. As a social scientist, Dr. Brown has long held a substantive and mathematical interest in nonlinear interdependencies in human affairs. His research into the realm of consciousness has added to his appreciation of the depth of humanity's state of interdependency with all of the universe, and it has helped him to recognize the truthfulness of Don's maxim, "No man is an island entire of itself." And there's more here. And so I encourage you, if you're into this, go check out the website. Again, it's farsight.org. They're not paying us to say this, of course. It's just, it's interesting stuff. It's super fascinating. And again, like Ash is saying, if this is real, if any of this is even remotely real, then, well, the things are different than you thought, right? Things are different than I thought, and how we change it, I don't know. Is it even possible? Maybe find out where the Essassani resistance meets, I guess, and try and crash the meeting or something. I don't know. Maybe that, but I don't know. Again, like I said, I've still got a few minutes left. If you want to jump in here with a phone call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Got about 4 minutes left, Ash. So we'll start winding it down for the radio hour. What do you think? Like, conclusion wise, is this a solid maybe?
I'm astonished. I will give it this. I'm astonished how all these different sources have all this consistent overlap, and if you put them together, this is the narrative. And this narrative it all makes sense. Now, when it all makes sense, when people have all the answers, it can be a little scary, right? That's usually a sus thing, as they say, sus. So I don't know. I don't have the answers. Again, this is just kind of a narrative. What I would recommend is to entertain it, to hold it in your mind, hold it in the back. You don't have to act on it. You don't have to do anything. If this is true and we all just knew of it, we did it. They can't, it doesn't work. Control, this kind of stuff doesn't work as long as you know. If you know reptilians are bad and that the government's working with them, you already kind of know what you need to know there. Government's being dumb, right? So are the reptilians, are these mantises, greys? I don't know. But, I mean, the greys we see a lot. But, it's a fascinating story, super interesting, fun to take the maybe juice and go for a wild ride. I'm Ash, the Reptilian from Mars. Check out my YouTube channel if you like this kind of stuff. If you like the pursuit of truth without, you leave the ground and go into the ether and we start bathing in baby juice. But if you like this kind of stuff, check out my YouTube channel. If you're interested into remote viewing and their projects, take a look at their stuff. The first time I was one of the few people who were looking into this mantis stuff, and in one of the projects there was a being on there, and that tripped me out, and it's been a journey of craziness. So check out their stuff, the Farsight Institute. Really interesting projects, JFK, pyramids, 9/11, all kinds of stuff. So that's it for me. It's been interesting. We'll see how it goes. I think there's more to this story. It's out. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna put something together on my channel. So again, please subscribe if you want to learn more in real time about this stuff. And I don't know. Yeah.
There we go. In conclusion, Ash is insane. Check out the YouTube channel. Links in the description. Give Ash a follow. Longtime friend of the show, good friend of mine. And as we finish, right? As always, it doesn't matter what I think or what Ash thinks. It only matters what you think. Okay, this is your reality. So explain, think, consider. Maybe, right? I'm going to take the maybe juice tonight as well and say, okay, maybe. These guys say that it's a thing and they're remote viewing. Fine. All right. That's cool. We'll revisit this at some point in the future as well. As you know, as we get off the Fringe here, if you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. And once again, right, maybe juice means whatever you want it to mean. And as we finish, be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. To the second. So sometimes when you're good, you're good. All right, here's what we're going to do. We got a third hour of Troubled Minds coming up, and we are now off of the radio, so if you can't trust yourself to not drop some F-bombs, well, now's your time. Now's your time to shine. Still taking your phone calls, got a third hour coming up. What do you think? We got more clips to play, but as always, I'd rather hear your thoughts on this. Do you think there's something to this? Do you think it's a bunch of horse shit? What do you think? And that's the question here. Again, like I said, it doesn't matter what I think or Ash thinks. It matters what you think. So we got another hour coming up, taking your phone calls. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Not just Courtney Brown remote viewing, but what about the idea that we live in some sort of reality where these reptilians are enslaving not just humanity, but other alien races? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds on the way. 2-minute break. 2-minute break. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're doing our thing. Streaming on Rockband, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and talking to aliens. We're still taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and yeah, we're talking about Courtney Brown tonight. Farsight Institute and remote viewing the reptilian enslavement. Again, is this too far for you? Is this off the rails, completely off the rails, and into the giggle weeds, as my grandfather used to say? Or is this does this seem like more closer to reality than we're allowed to believe? And that's what's on my mind tonight. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. 702-957-1037. We got Matt here in the chat. Are you there, Ash? Test 1 2.
I'm here.
Welcome back. All right. Anything to add to that? We got Matt. We can talk to him, and then we got Tam Bam. Looks like we can do Tam Bam and Matt. And what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I would like to get to the point where this stuff isn't crazy. It is frustrating that, you know, we're at the point where UFOs are real, and every inch of disclosure and reality to open up, it's just, we gotta fight it, and no one wants to look silly. I mean, to think about the potential of humanity being enslaved by a bunch of lizard people for all eternity, basically, because it was silly, seems silly, you know. And look, UFOs are real, like, period. And they're hinting at an extraterrestrial beings. So this is an attempt to look at that and discern what these beings are and what they're doing. Abductions are happening. There's millions of people who get abducted, and they're talking about it. There's a lot of information. You just got to look. And again, it could all be bullshit, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So I think I'm in the right place. Hopefully, maybe I am crazy, but if this is real, then this is a fight worth getting into, and it's important. But maybe it's not, or maybe it is bullshit. But again, I go back and forth too, right? Like, but yeah, it's, we all know there's something more going on, right? There's something under the surface, and if you're listening, that's why you're here.
Amen to that. So still taking your calls, 702-957-1037. Let's go to Matt in California. Test 1 2. Are you there, sir?
Hey, Mike. Hey, Ash.
What's going on?
How's it going? Good show tonight.
Thank you. Have we lost our minds? Have we finally done it?
No, we're good. I called up. I want to talk about some remote viewing experiences. But I've also been studying the the Sasanis.
Okay. Oh, sweet. Okay. All right. So go ahead. Start wherever you like.
So with the remote viewing, I didn't know this till I met Ash, and he told me about Farsight Institute, about how they were doing it with the numbers and on a piece of paper writing. That's kind of cool. I've been trying that. But the way I learned remote viewing, and a long time ago, this is the way I learned remote viewing, is that you want to find a place that you've never been to, but you can go there physically. Like, you've never been there yet, but you can go there, and then you want try to remote view it, and then go there and see if you can find anything that you remote viewed. And so my experiment, I tried it with there was this new Chinese food restaurant that opened by my house, like a fancy one. I've never been there. It just opened, and I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna try to remote view it. So I tried to remote view it, did the meditation and everything, and I had my piece of paper and my pencil. And in my visions, I saw a green triangle. That was it. And so I wrote, I drew a triangle, and since there was a pencil, I wrote the color, the word green. So green triangle. And so then I was like, told my wife, surprise, taking you to this fancy Chinese food restaurant. And so we went to go there, and I've never been there before. So we went to go there, and I told her that I remote viewed the place, and that I saw a green triangle. So try to help me find the green triangle. So we're at the Chinese food restaurant, we're eating, enjoying the ambiance and the food and everything. And I'm looking for this green triangle. Is it in the art on the walls? Is it in the menu? Is it, on a chef's shirt, something? And nothing. I didn't see any green triangle. So I was like kind of disappointed, like, man, okay, I suck at this. I'm gonna try. I need to try more. Anyway, so as we go to leave, pay and we go to leave, and we walk out, and there's like a how do you say, like a lobby room, and look over, and I'm walking out the door, and my wife Lacey, she looks at me, she goes, "There's your green triangle." I look over, there's a Christmas tree in their lobby room. And it was Christmas time. It was Christmas time. And but it was funny to me, like, how would I have known, like, not all restaurants have a Christmas tree? So I think this has to do more with, like, symbolism, not actually, like, kind of how Eleven was doing it in Stranger Things. It's not like you're seeing it like that. It's symbols. So I think symbols have a lot more to do with it. Like, you're not actually seeing what the remote viewing. Your subconscious is getting symbols, and then you're trying to, like, you have to break the code, I guess. If that makes sense.
Yeah, sort of interpret. Go ahead, Ash. Thoughts on that?
No, yeah, it's like you'll get an idea that there's a being there, something's alive there, and then you have to kind of press that for information, but it's low bandwidth. It's not what you're used to, and this reality is really noisy, so it's kind of hard to discern, what is just random thought and what is interpreting that data. And they came up with a bunch of techniques for, like, dumping random thoughts and different things like that. But I've had a similar experience, like I mentioned, where I felt there's something soft. I kept getting soft and gray, and my couch downstairs was soft and gray. So I kept thinking, I'm like, why do I keep thinking this freaking couch? And it confused me, and then I went off and did this and that, but I had kind of felt it right off the bat, and turned out to be his African gray bird. It was a soft, living being, and that's kind of what I was picking up, something like that. So yeah, it can be kind of trippy when you do have that moment where you see or a thing comes in, and you're like, holy crap, I felt that thing, and it is a unique and weird experience. It is a skill, and it takes time to get better at it and get faster at it. It's slow, isn't it? Have you tried it? It's like, feels really slow. It takes me forever.
Yeah, and I was talking about that too. It's all about practice. It's not, it's something I think all humans, we all have it, but we have to, you won't do it if you don't try it. So that's something that anybody can try. Just think of a place that you've never been to, but you can, you can go there, like a store, and then try to remote view it, just try to see what's there, and then go there and see if you find anything that matches your what you saw.
Yeah, so
pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I did get to practice, right? I had to get to Carnegie Hall, right? Practice.
Yep.
Totally. So have you since then? Have you tried it more? Has it been something you spent a bunch of time on, or just kind of casually here or there?
It's kind of here or there. It's something that it's not my thing. I just was trying it to see if I could do it, like learning about it and trying to see if I could do it. Same thing with astral projection. And this kind of stuff, although, you have to be careful, you have to, protect yourself and, research and learn about it first. It's not something you don't want to just like jump into it, because you can hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing, but kind of learn about it. And I've had other experiences not as accurate as that one. So, yeah, I mean, it's like a thing, you have to practice it. I have had, I don't know, 50-50 experiences. Somewhere didn't, somewhere didn't.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Where, like, I also noticed, like, the person who's picking my target, they can kind of make it easier for me or not. When someone who sort of believes and gives you that energy, it's easier to read. Whereas I had someone who's very skeptical give me targets. And it was cold. It was almost impossible for me to read. So, yeah, it's definitely not 100% science.
That's super interesting. But I was heard too is some people started remote viewing off of latitude and longitude, and that's something like I don't know latitude and longitude, at all, but I think that's one of the how they were doing the numbers. That's super interesting too. The person giving you, like I said, I just did mine. Like I said, a place that you can go to and see if you get any information. But in these the Farsight ones, they're giving you a number, and you try to remote view that number, and you have no idea what you're. It's like blind, like you said, a blind study.
Right. It's for me, they're either just making shit up. Like completely, right? Or there's some fucking that's crazy for them to like have a number and for him to draw the entire scene of the JFK shooting and then like almost like you Google map the area and then compare it to his drawing and you're like, oh, that's that building, and then for him to smell the smoke of the snipers up there and shit like that, like it's either bullshit. It's the complete bullshit, or it's completely amazing. It's either way is kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, and it gets more interesting when they start doing things like they told that one guy to remote view Mars or remote view the moon or a different planet, and also remote viewing can go through time as well, past, present, and future. So like that's where it gets really crazy.
Yeah, the future thing was actually really trippy for me because I remember. This was during Trump presidency, so it was like all kinds of shit going on all the time, right? It was like every month. And so they remote viewed, and they had all these buildings on fire, and all these people in mass rioting. They even drew like a guy who looked like Trump sitting at his desk, being like, God damn it, I have to deal with this now. And I showed it to my mom and my girlfriend at the time, and they were like, oh, man, what the hell is going to happen next month? Then we all completely forgot about it, because it's like, whatever, it's just make up fun stuff. And then the George Floyd riots happened. And if you go back and look at their stuff, literally they have like targets on fire. They look like target buildings on fire. They fucking predicted the future. And all the remote viewers were picking up on it. They're supposed to kind of pick up on different events, but that event was so strong that they all picked up on it. So for me, that was a moment for me where I was like, wow, what the hell? That's kind of trippy,
Yeah, I've never had any experience of the past, present, future thing, but I guess if we believe in, alternate dimensions, alternate realities, and if they're all existing at the same time, I don't see why not.
Yeah, exactly. And they're the predicting the futures, they haven't quite figured it out, and That's what's also interesting about it is they're trying to figure this whole thing out too as they're going, and they tried different techniques for predicting the future, and most of them were very inconsistent. They would basically they would detect an earthquake on a certain day, and they would see it as devastating. But then when it happened, they predicted the earthquake, but it was just a slight rumble. So it's actually funny. What their hypothesis is that there's different future timelines, and when you remote view, you're just going out on random timelines, and they haven't collapsed into a decision yet. So they compensated for that by having someone in the future pick the target, and so they're in the timeline that resolved, reaching back to you. So basically, they'll predict the timeline in the future, and then it's a little confusing. Let's say you remote view the target now, and you get all this weird stuff. Then you put it in a folder and you store it away, and it sits there for 2 months. Then an event happens. The guy picks his target. Okay, and then after he picks his target, then they reveal what was in the envelope, right? So can you imagine picking a volcanic eruption, and then you open up the thing and there's a volcanic eruption from 2 months ago? It's pretty crazy. It's pretty nutty stuff.
Yeah, try to remote view me the lotto numbers.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
They do that with crypto.
Come on, guys. Let's be useful with this. Let's give us the damn lottery numbers. Holy shit! Right? Let's watch somebody does it. It's right. We all play it, but we have to split it, and nobody gets anything. We all played the same numbers. Yeah. Okay. So you Matt, you also said you had another take on this this other stuff, the reptilians and the rest of this.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. This is actually in the book that I gave you, Mike. The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac. Told you to look it up. Look up different alien species in here.
Okay, I'm actually going to go grab that, but I'll put you on speaker. I'll be right back. I'm listening.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Should grab my book, The Alien Agendas by Richard Dolan. So go ahead, continue. Kind of stuff.
I'm just going to read this. It's an almanac. It just kind of goes through all the different beings. The Sasani's in here. It says the Sasani beings are from a parallel reality 300 years in the future. The humans of that version of Earth lost their way in their dimension and destroyed their planet. They mutated into the Greys to survive, but could no longer reproduce and were dying out. Since our DNA is close to theirs, they visited our timeline for genetic materials and crossbred with us to create to create a bunch of different hybrids. So there's different types of the Sasani. It says Mike kind of said this about they're 5 feet tall. They look like us. They have big eyes. Their skin is pale. Males have no hair. Females have white hair. This is interesting. It says they're super intelligent beings with an increased brain capacity and are emotionally balanced. It talks about their ships. They have a mothership, a regular craft, and then a smaller, a scouting craft. And their ships are powered by telepathy, but with their minds. I thought that was kind of interesting. So it says the Sasani live in a different frequency on a higher reality. The fourth dimension, quasi-fifth dimension reality. It vibrates 10 times faster than our reality. They're 3,000 years ahead of our technology and our society. So this is super interesting. It doesn't say in here anything about what we're talking about tonight, about being enslaved by reptilians.
Right.
But it does talk about, I just thought it was interesting to kind of give you guys a little breakdown of these beings. And also talks about, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to, how long ago was that written?
This book?
Yeah.
Well, it's a newer book.
Say, because the
2021.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because these beings are actually fairly new. Dr. David Jacobs, like 10 years ago, these beings started like moving into society about 10 years ago. He was working with all these different people who are going through this experience, and I think it was like 10 years ago, they started like the hybrids, the ones that look human, started coming down to the planet and going shopping and getting apartments and like weird stuff, and he was like, what the hell is going on here? And so yeah, if that book was written like 40 years ago, then that would be really trippy, right? That be kind of like that thing we were just talking about, the remote viewing. No,
this is a newer book. The author's name is Craig Compasio. But I got this book because it's like a quick reference. I just like, it's an almanac. You scroll through it real quick. Alphabetical order. Bam! Find the alien you wanted to learn about, and a couple pages of reading about it. One more thing, real quick on this one. It talks about this Bashar, this guy named Daryl Anka, and he was it's a multi-dimensional beings, is what they are, but he was a representative, and he was just talking about, he was trying to give us like future technology, sacred geometry, and things like this. So I think that's kind of interesting that it seems like he was not possessed, but like channeling an interdimensional being. We've heard of that before, Tesla and all that. So maybe there's something there, like they're trying to communicate with us, but they can't because they're on a different dimension.
Yeah, it's interesting that Courtney Brown and them, he actually mentions a lot of this stuff, that it's basically alien propaganda to some degree. Not all of that, and I'm not saying that's what it is. I don't know. But he was saying, he mentions this stuff, and he says that it is the aliens these beings are here to like basically like let them control us, and so they're going to come with offerings and religious stuff, and however they can kind of get it in with the population, and then kind of like lead us with those things, and that this kind of new age, a good portion of it, not all of it, is, the best thing to do is when you're lying is to mix in truth with it, right? So, or like, if I give you $1,000 but I steal your car, right? It wasn't a good trade, but that $1,000 got me in the door, right? So that's kind of how he describes it. What I do find interesting is that if these beings are created, they're like, they have more genetic tech than we do, like in a better understanding of reality and access to this. So maybe there is like this Asasani is a breakaway civilization on their own, and that they're reaching backwards through time. If time travel's a thing, God, like, can you imagine trying to sort this shit out? Like, you know what I mean? Like, fucking, like, I don't know, like aliens. Us, we could, like, some guy could bang like an alien 5,000 years from now, and they have a baby, and that creates like a whole thing, and then that comes back, like, it's all fucked. If time travel is a thing, it's all fucked. You can't keep track of anything. It's it's nuts. So, but that's good. Cool stuff. Cool book, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Tam Bam say what she has to say.
Okay, and thank you guys. Thank you again, Matt. Appreciate that. That's Matt in California.
Awesome, Matt. Good stuff, dude.
Page 201, Mike.
Thank you. Page 201. I appreciate that. And thank you for the book.
Oh, wait. Matt, before you go, what does it say about reptilians?
There's like a whole chapter on reptilians.
Is there anything of note that you can...
off the top of my head? No.
Okay. I don't want to keep you, but I'm curious.
No, that's cool. There's, so let's see. There's dinosaurians. There's
Dinosaurians.
Draconians. There's... the alpha albino royal drakes, the dragon drakes, the zeta drakes,
like the jack reptilians with wings. Yeah, those guys.
The Eal reptoids, the iguanoids. Whoa, that's cool. The lizardarian people, the reptilians, the reptile imposter humans.
Well, if this hybridization thing is true, if this was what aliens do, then you can take every combination of all aliens and hybridize between them all. With I don't know math, but then those beings could have hybrids between those collections and this and that, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then again, the time travel, and it's just all fucked.
Yeah, there's one that says it's like all of them combined. It's like, what's that?
It's your mom.
It's the old ones. Appreciate it, Matt. You're the best. Thanks again for the book, and always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too, man. All right, so still taking your phone calls here. We're talking about this idea that the draconian reptilian race is enslaving not just people but other aliens in this race called the Enslaving. 702-957-1037. What are your thoughts here? Do you believe in remote viewing or not? And what about these other wilder claims even about aliens in the galaxy? As the phone line dies, perfect timing. Let's go to Tambam in South Africa. Welcome back. I'm glad.
Hi.
I was missing you, and I was wondering what happened. And yeah, welcome back.
South Africa, man.
South Africa, man. Yeah, this shit happens, huh?
We've got all the infrastructure, all of that, all you guys have. But I mean, it's management. It's ridiculous. I mean, I can't even get into it because it's like tax and medical aid. I can't talk about it.
Yeah, trigger point. You're going to piss me off too, I'm sure. It's this is why we can't have nice things, right? Yeah.
That's what I said to my husband because he burnt a hole in my very expensive carpet. This is why I can't have nice things because I have an adult child.
There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. So I know.
Sounds like a fun guy.
Yeah, totally. It sounds like a totally fun guy. So I know you've had some experience with Bashar. We talked about that back when we did it.
Yeah.
And you're familiar with that. How about this Enslaving and the rest of this reptilian sort of overlord situation? What do you know about this?
Okay, listen. I'm fully. You got to understand. You know me. I'm a Christian, but I'm super open-minded, and I'm fully aware of the reptilian race, and I totally believe they exist. Totally.
Awesome. Okay.
You're loud.
Okay. I have been doing this research for over 10 years. And I'm telling you now, these motherfuckers exist. And they're not nice. The only nice one, like I said in chat, is Ash, surprisingly. But yeah, they do exist. So, Matt's brilliant. I mean, he just has all these things. But I've got a whole page of shit written down just from what Matt was saying and what Matt and Ash are talking about. So can I go into all of it?
Go right ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna take notes on your notes, and then
I'm smart as fuck.
I love it. Let's hear it.
Okay. So with astral traveling, you are, and this is what I've learned, when you astral travel, you are actually traveling not physically, because as you know, the earth is a more of a physical, tangible place. But when you're astral traveling, you are traveling through the bandwidth of frequency. So it is very, very possible that Bashar has a direct link to a specific bandwidth frequency to the Asasani. And Bashar, I mean, I used to listen to him all the time. And this guy, and this is going back years and years. This shit that comes out of this man's mouth, you can't even fathom how a human would even come up with the stuff, because it's mind blowing. But as you know, as a human, I still go back and forth. Is it real? Is it not real? Should I take it as a pinch of salt? But then he says something so profound, and then you think shit, it's blowing my mind, but it makes sense. So Bashar, I believe, is, obviously channeling the Asasani, with a specific Asasani. I think he's one of the elders or whatever of their race. They're here for a specific reason, or channeling for a specific reason, and that is to prevent the total slaveness of the human race under the reptilians. So he's trying to awaken the human consciousness, the human mind, into being more of a higher being, elevating us in higher consciousness. So we are not dumb and stupid to fall into being a slave race for the for reptilians. Because as humans, we are born with, and I don't know what the fuck it is, but we need a leader. We always need someone. We always need like someone to follow and whatever. We can't do shit on our own. It's just, it doesn't make sense to us. So come in the reptilians, and they're like, okay, well, if you need a leader, we're going to fuck your planet up and take whatever we can. And there are, like I said, the society have come down, or whoever else is as well, to come and help the human race. So with the reptilians, I'm just going to find what I wrote here. Okay, so with the reptilians, so how they got here, and I'm not talking about recent history, I'm talking about 100,000 years, whatever the case is, that kind of timeline. They came here, they were dropped off here, if I can put it that way. They haven't always been here. What they did is they were actually made. Now, this is what I've read, so don't take it, this is hearsay. They were actually kind of lab made in a lab and for a certain function. But they became out of control. So they actually, and they said that the Lyrans from their planet, they tried to take over their planet, and then the Lyrans got together and dumped them off another planet, and then this planet got almost destroyed, and then they took them all, and they basically, at the end of the story, they dumped them here on planet Earth. So, and however long it takes, I mean, we're talking about thousands and thousands of years to take over the planet. So now they're here, and this is their agenda. Now they say there's good and bad, and I choose to believe that. But like Ash or Matt said in the book, the leaders are very tall, very big, grey, kind of ashy looking, excuse the pun, with red eyes. And that can be depicted as a dragon. And, you've got Adam and Eve in the Bible, and, the serpent the serpent and the apple and the whole thing. That could have been a reptilian. Like I said, I am a Christian, but everything is hearsay as well. So that is how much of history that I do kind of know about the reptilians. I do know that they survive on human flesh or some kind of flesh. I do know that they require, their drug is the A word, which I can't mention. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Mike. The A word.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
right.
We know.
So that's their drug. And I do seriously believe that they have infiltrated the government. And it's not how you think it is. It's not how we are draconian and we will take over your body and it's like a meat suit. No, it's actually if you think about it, you know how a kangaroo, it gives birth, but it's like a little tiny pink thing the size of your pinky?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's kind of like the reptilian worm. And what they do is they insert this worm, a vril. They insert this worm orally, nasally, whatever, into your body, and it takes over like a parasite over your body. They do have to eventually have this hologram technology to cover up, because your body basically metamorphosizes into this alien being. But because we're humans, we are, and you have the role inside of you, we are literally their footstools. We're the toe jam, okay, of their race. We are there to serve, and that's it, if you get caught up in this whole thing. And then we have the politicians. The politicians come in and they want to do this and do that. They actually haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing, because they're doing the agenda of the reptilian race. And it's all negative, and it's segregation, and it's hating upon each other, because actually that is their environment. Their environment to survive is negative, and they need that to survive as well. So that's my info on Reptilian. Make sense?
Makes sense to me. You want to fact check that, Ash? I mean, you are the Reptilian after all.
I mean, the last there was a lot going on in the last the last election cycle. Let's put it to you that way. Mm-hmm. And I speculated that there was there was a reptilian agenda going on there. And I've seen Joe Biden sniff a baby, and I mean, lean in.
Oh my god, that's so awful.
Don't sniff a baby and then show his teeth. And look, I'm not. This is not lefty righty. I think most politicians are abhorrent, right? But every once in a while, you see that like that, and you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I watched that shit 20 times, and it was like, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, he leaned in and he took it in and it wasn't
it smelled like breakfast.
Yeah, and then he went, he showed his teeth, and the mom was like, what the fuck too? She walked away what the hell? And it was just weird, and I don't know, is there something going on? And look, all those people meet in the woods and they have those weird ass ceremonies, right? The Bilderberg groups and all this kind of stuff. And, at the very least, there's a bunch of cult shit going on. Now, is this stuff going on? I don't know.
Hold on. That's just one thing that's going on. There's also another thing that's going on. And I don't know if you've heard about the five high priestesses of the Black Witches or something. That's another thing that's freaking going on. Mike, I'll actually send you, it's very difficult to find, and I stumbled upon this, but I'll send you information regarding this, and maybe you can have a listen and see if it's show worthy, because it's that huge, but it's also very sensitive, because they're trying to wipe it off the face of the planet.
Okay.
So I'll send it to you.
Please do. I'll take a look.
Yeah.
Isn't Lady Gaga a head priestess or something too?
No, those are puppets. I mean, come on. Everyone who's in front of the camera are puppets.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's really real and really bad, they're not going to show their face ever. Would you?
No, yeah. So the idea is there's a sect of humans for how long, who knows how long, different humans, different families have been serving these beings, and that's been their control system for a long time. And and they do favors for them, provide services and food
well, also manipulation. So what they'll do, in order for their political agenda to come into fruition, they will blackmail you. So they'll put that person into a situation where we've got this on you, so you better do what we tell you to, because it's that gruesome. If you don't do what we tell you to, you could be absolutely ruined and even put to death, because it's so gruesome. Anyway, so that's a whole nother conversation. But then you got to look at that.
You don't have to prove that, Jeffrey Epstein, right?
That's not even as deep as it goes. But anyway.
But it just, stuff pops up that's official, right? And you take a look at that and you're like, that shit's wild. So, could there be more deeper than that? True. Maybe possibly.
Really is, and it's even more horrific than you think it is. So, then I think also got to look at human blood. Okay, and a lot of people have been talking about RH negative, and if you're RH positive, and if you're RH positive, you are monkey blood, you come from the apes and whatever, which I totally disagree with. But the RH negative blood, it was introduced to humans. So there must be, in theory, some sort of hybridization from an alien, like you said, like you suggested, going back in time, an alien had a baby with a human, and then a hybrid popped out, and there we go, RH negative blood type, right? So unfortunately, I am RH negative. And maybe I'm, like I've always said, the princess of Venus, which I'm kind of counting on. Okay.
You got my vote. You got my vote, Tam Bam. Hey, let me ask you, is your blood green or is it red like the rest of us?
It's actually a very, very dark red. It's abnormally dark. Okay. And I've got an abnormally large heart.
Well, I knew that. I already knew that. I mean,
oh my God, that joke.
Emotions are surface.
Yeah. Okay. So you think there is something different there? I've actually never known anybody. I guess I do now that had Rh negative blood. You read about it on the internet and some of the wild theories there. So you think maybe there's something to it? You think maybe you're of hybrid blood of sorts?
Well, yes, I do, because how do I have this feeling? And it's not something that I can just, believe me, I've tried, wish it away. I have this feeling that I don't belong. I've always had this feeling that, and my mother can attest to this. I've always said to her, but you're not my family. I don't feel like I'm here. I belong here. Like, am I adopted? I've been asking these questions since I was a little kid. And I don't feel like I belong on this planet. I don't fit in. That's why your group, you guys are my friends, and my circle outside of where I am is very small. Because I just don't get along with people. And I don't feel comfortable with people. And I'm not anti-human. I just find people who are so indoctrinated into society very dumb. I can't talk to them, especially now. Like I put into chat, I was speaking to someone, and I just, we got into the conversation of aliens, and I said, do you believe aliens exist? And they denied it completely. And I just thought, how bizarre, how feeble-minded are you that you cannot actually fathom that we are a blip in the multiverse and all these things, and you want to think that we are alone and there's nothing else? I can't talk to people like that. Anyway, so then we're talking about, so you were talking about earlier with Matt about, and Ash was talking about, I think it was a reincarnation, Ash?
Yeah, the soul aspect of it and how. Yeah.
So my theory is, so I believe that everybody, you get Christians like me who believe that I'm going to go to heaven, right? So I will, if I die, or when I die, I will wake up or see the light and go to heaven, right? Because that's what I want, and that's what I've aimed my life at. Then you get other people who are atheists. And I was listening to this atheist the other day, and he was saying he actually had a heart attack, and how it felt to him. It felt as if he fell into the floor, and from the floor he fell into space. But he was in the blackness of space, but he was part of a collective energy. So he was essentially alone, but he wasn't alone. He was part of the universe in terms of energy. So I believe whatever you believe in, that's where you will kind of go. So if you think you're a bad person, you're going to go to hell, whatever, I do think you will die and wake up in hell, or if you reincarnate, you come back to Earth, or you can reincarnate and go to another planet, and things like that. So each and everybody's story shouldn't be factually the same. Not everybody has to go to the light. Not everybody has chosen to go to the light. And if you don't believe in God, that's your choice, and you'll wake up. Your energy will never die. You'll just wake up where you think you belong, or where you're supposed to go in terms of your soul contract. Yeah. So that's what I was saying about that.
Okay, right on.
You choose. You get to choose, which is the fundamentals of the creator, God, right? Free will. Choose where you want to go. Make choices.
Yeah,
basically.
And then manifest it into a radio show if you like. Or whatever it is you like. So the thing is, we got Rohan here too. So if you got more for us, you're welcome to stay. Let's go to Rohan. He's been waiting for a bit, and then do you have more for us, Tam?
I actually do.
Okay. So let's take a break real quick.
A big subject, man.
Let's share the airwaves here. Let's go to we're still with Tam Bam, Ash, and myself, of course, Michael Strange. We're gonna give Tam a break here, and we're gonna go to Rohan in the UK. What's up, the mighty Rohan? How are you, my friend? Welcome to Troubled Minds.
What's up, brother? How you doing? Yeah, okay.
Hey, man. Doing the thing, man. Doing the thing. Talking about crazy shit by night. Right, because you can't do this in the daytime. I think you're even more weird. But yeah, go ahead. What's your thought on this? Is you think there's something to this, the remote viewing aspect, and then this other part with the enslavement of the reptilians and all the rest of this stuff?
Oh yeah, I've got a few points actually, but just for the old in joke there, I just because Tam said it, I got you abnormally large right here, Mike.
There you go. There's the joke. See, it fits with almost anything.
That's right. There's a few points I'll pick up on, and then we'll get into the sort of reptiles bit. But I thought it's interesting that you mentioned that it sort of came up, Tam there sort of mentioned that without saying it, it's the Fermi's paradox, isn't it? It's like, it was like, well, where are the aliens then? And you do statistic that there should be aliens all over the place. And yet we don't see them, so we say they're internet. But I think that's a bit of a short-sighted premise, the Fermi's paradox, because it assumes aliens won't be able to conceal themselves. It also assumes science wants to find life and won't emit data, right? Do you know what I mean? It assumes no agendas, so I think there's always that.
Trust the science, Rohan. Trust the science.
Trust the science. This is the thing, because a lot of this stuff we have to describe the world with science. A lot of the time we're doing it with mathematics. And trouble with mathematics is depending on the type of language you use, you can make, I always hark back to Dr. Richard Allen Miller. He said using tensor equations, which are incredibly complicated, you can make the Earth flat and round. Both. They both say it's true. And you can lie with statistics. With every single government, every year, every time they do the budget, lies with statistics, don't they? They always fudge the numbers to make it look like they're putting more into healthcare when really they're not, because they're taking it from here. You know what I'm saying? How it goes. There's even a book about it. So so there's that. But this idea of this is a study though. There's a couple of little themes come up there that I think have popped up a few times, and there was a recent one in. Sometimes you consume something that resonates a little bit, and you're not sure why, and then it kind of comes up later, and you think perhaps there's an element of truth in there, like Ash mentioned. With lies and concealment, you always have to have a little sprinkling of truth, because your senses kind of can sniff it out, can't they? But there's a little bit of truth in there. You can kind of slide it through. And so I got thinking to that film where it's a strange film, because there's hardly any dialogue in the film, but there's a film with Scarlett Johansson called Under the Skin. Okay. And this is going to have to be a bit of a spoiler because it goes in with the context of this conversation. But it's about a mysterious young woman that she's driving around Scotland seducing men into a van. And then she'll kind of go and take them away, go and have sex with them. But it turns out she's very strange, like a strange being. Like perhaps it's an alien, you're thinking, and she kind of consumes them. Okay, but she takes this one guy who's quite disfigured and he's really sweet. And I think she has some kind of guilt trip and she decides to let him go last minute. So you got this man running off, naked across these fields, trying to sort of get away, but it's hardly any dialogue. But there's another guy that seems to be with her, driving around on a motorbike, and he goes and gets the guy, gets rid of it, and this, that, and the other, and it becomes about this. The film seems to be about this journey of somebody that's an alien in human skin, or some kind of hybrid, and she's kind of just doing a job and starting to gradually become human, and do you know what I mean, and start to realise that she's an alien sort of thing. And I thought that's really interesting, because that sort of hybrid situation, it adds a new element, doesn't it? Because if you get thrust into that situation and then you're kind of just going through the motions and then start to get, look at the situation, understand what's going on, you might feel a bit guilty. So I thought that was a really fascinating thing to be bringing up, that one.
That's a good point. I forgot about that movie. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a good observation. Good pattern recognition. Yeah, she's going out and she's doing this stuff, and it's disturbing how emotionless she is during the movie. But then later on, you can tell she's starting to feel something, and as if she had some humanity in her. And then at the end, she just completely unravels, right? That's a good point. Wow.
Completely unravels. And I think and you hear about these, like I said, are anecdotes, but I heard one of them things that resonated again, where there's someone in college that said they had this roommate that they suspected was some kind of hybrid alien. Always wore glasses all the time. He was kind of quiet and stuff, but cool. They got along, but she always had a big sunglasses on, and one time she'd saw him without her glasses, and she had this sort of reptilian looking, slit eyes, a bit like cats. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah.
Well, do you know what I mean? And like I say, if this can be done, and we know that technically these things can be done, right, then how far are we with this stuff? So let's say, people are doing it. What would it look like in practical terms, in pragmatic terms? Like, say, if you are trying to integrate into this world and be among us and kind of look like us, you got to learn stuff, and you got to learn a bit of human etiquette, and we're quite complicated, even between, you try going to Japan, and you think, I've learned Japanese. But if you move around Japan, there's lots of little different kanjis, isn't there? You can't go to Africa and with one language, can you? And unless you're speaking Tutsi, maybe. You can't there's so many dialects and little things in there. So coming in, it reminds me of that Stargate episode where there's a bunch of people pretending to be fully human, and they've got all this information. They're like prepared for the invasion. Like, yes, corn and cotton are indigenous in North America. Like, that information is going to save your life or something.
Yeah. Like, they're making dialogue, but it's like, what the hell? It's like weirdos. Yeah. No, it's actually, and those are good points. There's actually Dr. David Jacobs. One of the things he noticed is his abductees were being recruited to train the hybrids to learn about human society, and that they had to learn everything from one standing in line buying groceries, and the guy's, how are you doing? And it just stares there, looks back and panics, and everyone's looking at him like, what's wrong with this guy? And he freaks the hell out, and the person, the handler, the abductee, is like, nah, fuck you, you're on your own. And the thing panicked and ran out. Panicked and ran out of the grocery store. And there's dozens of stories like that. So that's actually really interesting that you made that observation, and that it's correlates with potentially this reality, right? So that's a good point. And how about the kids with black eyes? You heard about those? The kids with black eyes.
Don't invite them in. I want screw that.
Yeah, and that kind of falls all in with this stuff. All the conspiracy theories, for the most part, can fall under the helm of this giant umbrella. But good stuff. Yeah, I love it. Good points, man. Smart. You're good at patterns or something. You're good at picking out.
I think I've got. They said that when I was at uni, so you're good at spotting themes and stuff. And now you mentioned that, it reminds me back to a famous children's book by Nicholas Fisk called Grinny. And Grinny was about a grandmother that turns up at the house, and the parents don't know who she is. And she says this line, "You remember me." And suddenly the parents have a whole backstory for her. And like, oh, it's Aunt Grinny. And they invite her in, and she ends up living with them. And the kids are like, what the shit?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's really creepy.
So the kids start playing tricks with this woman, thinking, because she's obviously an intruder or of some sort, and they play a game called Eyes Right. And they decide the game is, you try and make somebody paranoid by speaking to them. Whenever you talk to them, you look 1 foot to the right, as if they've slipped out of the body. So, and everybody does it. So after a while, if you play that game with someone, and whenever everyone talks to you, they're looking slightly to one side. Do you know, instead of making eye contact. And after a while, it makes you think like you're superpositioned or something. Do you know what I mean? So they play this trick with this grandma, and it makes her freak out. So that's what made me think about being in the lunch line, because that made her freak out in the book. So they kept playing this game to try and trick her, because they suspected she's like an alien or something, and she was. You know. And it reminds me of Timothy Good, that he plays on that aspect of paranoia. There's a British UFO researcher, alien researcher, Timothy Good. He had got the idea. So if they are aliens then among us, and if they're telepathic, then what if I try and tell them telepathically, oh, I know you're an alien, but you don't know who's going to be an alien, do you? So he started experimenting, just like on the bus and on the train and walking around in the restaurants. He'd pick someone random and think they might be an alien. So he'd try and project to him, I know you're an alien. Like, try and expose them. Do you know what I mean? And he says he took loads, he does it all the time, but he says every now and again, somebody will turn around. Now, it might be a coincidence, right? But he's been doing it so long, been doing it for years and years, I think even decades. He says every now and again, one of them will come and approach him and confirm it. Do you know what I'm saying? Before he says anything. So he's just sitting there eating, drinking, eating a bit of cake, reading his paper, staring at someone, and then some waitress will come along and there's nothing to do with it and tell him some stuff, random, as if they picked up what he's doing and they're giving him a little, yeah, you are onto something, and then carry on and go about being a waitress. You know
I heard a story, and it might be the same guy for all I know, where some people walked in and he knew they were weird. He knew there was something, and he was like, "Well, if you're an alien or something, let me know." And before those beings left, the girl comes over, comes to the table, bows, and then leaves. And you can imagine, you're high at a Denny's at 1 a.m. and something like that happens to you. It's trippy stuff. And I've heard other stories where a guy goes on a date with a woman, and it's really weird, and she's giving him weird vibes, and she's predicting things he was going to say, and she's making conversation about stuff he hasn't said yet, stuff like that. And then at some point he kind of calls her out, and then she starts laughing at him, and then her eyes turn black, and he runs the hell out of that date. I might have stayed depending on how she looked, I don't know, but get myself real into trouble. Ended up skinless. But there's a lot of stories like that are freaky and they're chalked up to paranormal. But if you put them into this kind of story, it sort of makes sense, right?
Yeah, like I say, I think it's like kind of you keep going back through this sort of zeitgeist again, don't you? You have to go back in time and kind of keep going through the information, keep skimming back with these new eyes and sort of new things and new, you keep sort of going over it. And this thing with the film with Scarlett Johansson, Under the Skin, and then you got this grinny character. Now, how can you make the aliens get paranoid? I wonder if are you familiar with Ian Crane, Dan Burish? He had a pseudonym, Dan Burish. His name was Ian Crane. He said he worked at Papoose for S4. He showed his security badge and that to get in. And he's supposed to be a microbiologist. Had all these encounters and he's alien and that, whatever, that he had to kind of take samples from and whatnot. But one of the side note, sort of footnote things that he mentioned once is about this thing about the skin, where he was saying that it's really creepy, but he said that you get these men in black that are aliens, but in order to disguise themselves with humans, they're literally wearing human skin. Right. And he said this, I thought this is really creepy, but then epigenetics come out, because he said, this is a long time ago, it's like 80s, 90s, but he said he's got this one, he said they kind of walk weird, kind of shuffle. He knows how to spot them. He said one was following him home, one was lingering about near his property, and he said he was following it. And he said, I think he'd got behind it or whatever, and he was trying to check it out, trying to, sort of get home, seeing what's going on. So he got his men in black tailing him, but there's a swing set on one of the neighbours' gardens, and this MIB alien gets distracted by the swing set, right? Gets on the swing, starts playing on the swing. And he looks at Dan and it's like, swing. And Dan's like, yeah, swing, good. And then quickly fucks off, quick, gets indoors, goes to get his own thing. Exactly. So and he's saying it's as if the alien's wearing the skin, trying to do the thing, trying to be alien, and it's got lost in an epigenetic memory of the skin.
Well, or maybe that they're, kind of bringing that up to speed with this stuff. Maybe it's a hybrid, and it's
it was created and it hasn't been living like very long. Maybe it itself is one of these Asani. It's like a child basically in maturity. Yeah, you know, if these beings really do exist, they grow up on spaceships. You know, if they have these levels of human opponents, they grow up on spaceships and they're around like aliens that are really smart, probably have no social skills, right? And so they're fucking probably, based on these stories, they're hybrids, aliens, whatever. They're fucking weird to us and to what we consider normal. And so hearing these stories is really interesting. There's actually a scene in a movie with it's a Men in Black scene, and it's about a movie where a guy, the U.S. government gets a download for a schematic, and then he's hired to decipher it. And based on that, they're going to build a weapon. The government's building a weapon, but the weapon is going to like destroy mankind. So the Men in Black show up at his house, and they look weird and they act weird, sort of like how you're describing them. And he's starting to get a headache, and they're influencing him telepathically. And it's like this really eerie scene. And all the comments, I went through the comments, they're like, I've had this experience, or this is what happened to me, or this is how it is. This is the most realistic MIB experience ever, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, we always thought it was the government was the MIB, but maybe it was actually the aliens. You know, Will Smith is actually working for the aliens or something. I don't know. It's all really interesting, right?
Well, Men in Black do go back centuries, like with the crop circles, but they just used to call them tricksters, didn't they? And then probably devils at some point, you know what I'm saying? But
or Jinn, right?
Yeah.
Jinn and stuff like that, yeah.
And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, say, we've probably been around a while. I think aliens have been a part of this thing for the whole time. I think now it's all about us because we're here, but I don't think it's always all been about us. I think this planet's something different as well. I don't know if that's ever come into, you know, on your sort of crosshairs, like, but this planet seems to be quite different in some way. Do you know what I mean? It's like, has it been engineered, or is it the Gnostic stuff where this planet is actually a living being that was once something else that became a planet because it's that powerful it can do it, you know, in order to allow this human genome experiment to take place. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's all that to throw in there as well. And I think the way it works out is because Tam had mentioned these sort of reptilians have been dumped here. I think I recognise that story from the Billy Meyer contact notes, where they've been dumped here from another universe. So nobody knows where they come from, even they don't. Do you know what I'm saying? So they kind of don't really fit our ecosystem. So they've been dumped on Draconis or whatever, and they've ended up, you know, so it's been dumped here. Okay, the masters of genetics are suddenly in this other universe. They end up at war with the Lyrans. It goes on for, you know, a few 100,000 years, whatever, and then it kind of like pitters out. So if you look from, I mean, if that were true, that's a pretty crappy situation to be in as a reptilian, because it's like you don't know your own origins. You've just been dumped here. Everybody hates you. You know, you're in an environment that's probably not suited for. I mean, maybe it's painful to exist in this universe with them. You don't know, do you? You know what I'm saying? And at the very least, knowing your origins, you know, it counts for something, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? So I think from that perspective, if these are like a kind of warrior race that are masters of genetics and they're from another universe, then that's it's a rubbish situation to sort of be in, to, you know, show a bit of compassion. Do you know what I mean?
Well, a lot of the Men in Black in the movie The Men in Black, right? The planet Earth is a refugee point because it's kind of like out in the boonies, and it's not under it's not a mainstream sort of planet. So there's a lot of refugees from that movie. And throughout the years, I've heard all these different stories of all these different alien groups living underground, whether it's underground or in inner Earth and all this kind of stuff. And now it's like with the whole UFO thing, the mainstream conclusion is that they live in the oceans, right? Who knows? It could be all different kinds and different. And there's that would mean that the situation is insanely complex, right? All these
Oh,
different
yeah.
factions and beings, but that
it's
also
all of
means
the
there's
above, isn't it?
rules. There's got to be some sort of rule system, some sort of rule of law, right?
I would think so. Like I say, I think it's all of the above, and like I say, it probably is incredibly complicated. And like I say, if you look at the Middle East political situation here, or anything, pick any complicated politics, it's going to be like multiplied, isn't it, on a sort of galactic scale, And then maybe there's a race. Let's invent a race called the Zlobs, right? Maybe the Zlobs come and kidnap a bunch of people, but they just happen to be like 28 criminals that escaped the planet, and the rest of the Zlobs are great, but we only see them. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's so complicated, and I think we're a resource. I think this planet is something strange about it, and I think we're something strange about us. And I think we are. I like the way you say with the Balaka and the Boonies. We're like Tatooine, aren't we? And I think that's what it is. I think Star Wars is our story, except it's not. It's far, far away in time, not far, far away in space. It's only this galaxy and the next one over. For me, that's how it seems. And then it seems because so much action's happened here, a lot of stuff's gone on. And yeah, it's a bunch of refugees. I think we're the refugees from that ancient war, and we've been here so long. There's so much stuff happened. We've all blended together, and we've got so much potentiality. Like the Farsight was saying, aliens out there can't really afford to ignore us at this point, because we're potentially very dangerous, and the reptiles have got a use for us. Okay, so we're either going to end up mercenary soldiers for them, which will make them incredibly powerful with us as the army. That'd be nuts, yeah. Or we're gonna throw off the oppression and try and find a way, and then flourish as a race and be an inspiration. So it's like one or the other. And I think people are just sort of dragging the heels because of all of the space politics, like with the Dominion group that's supposed to have perhaps were the influence for maybe the fountains of Jainism or Hinduism, and they've got killed here, got trapped here in the soul trap, and they've been waiting, stuck here 30,000 years. It's like they're not in a rush to save the people on that one. It's like, so I think that's what it is. I think it's just so incredibly complicated, and that's probably why it is a necessity for people's psychological health to kind of feed this out slowly. Do you know what I mean? In this kind, we get frustrated. We don't want the nothing burgers because we've been swallowing red pills for 20 years. But that's not the same for everybody, is it? If you just throw everything out, it's like the clone stuff and the hybrid stuff seems to be the most closely guarded. Because I don't know, for whatever reason.
Hey, gentlemen, let's get Tam back in here as well. For
sure.
I was just about to throw a.
Yeah. Go ahead. Good stuff. Sorry to keep you waiting. Go right ahead.
Yeah, good stuff.
No, it's cool. Yeah, Rohan, you come with some knowledge. It's like you're a book. Like an old ancient book. You just come with this amazing stuff. I can't compete. It's
I appreciate that, Tam. I think I get fed from other people. I think I'm more of a conduit, if anything. But I appreciate that. Awesome. Just think of me as a really big tool.
I already knew that.
Yeah, no, I got it. Yeah, no problem.
That's hilarious. Okay, so I'm going to take the pessimistic view on Earth. I don't think we're like a Tatooine at all. I think we are. I think maybe I'll pull you in a little bit. I think maybe we were 100 billion years ago, but I think we've become this hopeful, breathing place. The planet is a breathing, living thing of beauty and joy and happiness, and the humans have developed a one consciousness, and it's something amazing and stunning all at once. And I think if the aliens come here, like Ash said, there's got to be some rules, right? So, the first rule of Earth is don't let the humans know you exist. And that would be a pretty reasonable rule, and it would correlate with why we don't actually see aliens among us all the time, and how they're trying to blend in with us, wearing human skin or a skin type effect. And if you're an alien that's just come to Earth or whatever you are, and like you said, that swing set thing, I was laughing my head off. If you're new to a planet and you see something what we deem as trivial, but you see something that actually can bring you joy and you haven't felt joy, a swing set is the best thing on the face of the earth to you, right? So it would be a massive distraction, and it would be play and fun, and it would kind of make you understand that this planet is all about achieving happiness and joy and connecting with nature and human consciousness and peace, right? So that was my theory of what you said. Yeah. And then you're talking about earlier, astral traveling. Sometimes, this is what I do sometimes, because there was a guy that I was watching for quite a while, and he was saying, okay, so this is how you astral travel, but when you are awake. It's not really astral traveling, it's just mentally traveling. And he explained it like where you are sitting right now, close your eyes. And then he would tell you, okay, in your mind's eye, go to your kitchen. And then from your kitchen, go to your bathroom. What's there? Okay, from your bathroom, go to your garage. What's there? And look all around you. And then from your garage, go to the nearest gas station. And he would go on this massive journey. Eventually, he would say, okay, go and speed up to the moon. Walk around, feel and touch the sand or the dust. Walk around as if you can breathe in the space atmosphere. Now from there, jump all the way to Mars. Picture yourself in there. And he did this, and he took you on this journey in a space of 5 minutes. And he said, now come back. And he snapped his fingers and he says, you just traveled through the bandwidth and you felt everything, you saw everything. And that's what makes humans special, is that we're able to travel mentally anywhere we want to go. Whether we choose to believe it, because unfortunately we do live in a tangible place, is up to you. But you did it. You traveled without even doing much work, without even meditating and all those things. So I do that sometimes. So if my husband forgets his phone and he's at somewhere and I know where he is, I travel to him mentally and I scream at him. I shout in his ear so damn loud. And I'm like, get the milk. Don't forget milk. Get them. And true as Bob, he comes home and he brings the milk. I thought we needed milk. There we go.
I thought you were going to say when he forgets his phone, you go and help him find it.
No, he finds it home. Bastard. So, and he brings home milk. So I do that like all the time. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? If humans have this ability, right? Mm-hmm. Then it's like if it's it's a hard thing to confirm officially, right? With like mainstream science and stuff, it's tough because it's not 100%, right? It's sometimes sometimes you're in your imagination and sometimes you're there, and that's kind of for me discerning between the two is kind of this tough part. But if humans have this ability, it's exciting. It means that there's a whole plane of reality that we have no fucking clue, right? And humans need this ability because we're so confused. We need this power. It keeps us safe. It keeps us sane. It keeps us knowledgeable. It keeps the deceit away. I think it's really important. So I mean, whether these Farsight guys are a scam or not, I don't think so. But I if it is a true thing, if they're really doing this kind of stuff, I think it's really important. I think it's awesome, and I'm glad you shared that with us.
Okay, so let me just bring it back down to reptilians, right? So
okay.
Rohan brought up a very, very important point of the reptilians trying to make it. It's very difficult for them to live on our planet. It's kind of painful, right? So let's say, for instance, they're here and they infiltrated all the government systems and all that stuff. They're trying to make it their planet, in other words, their atmosphere, their whatever. So in terms of their atmosphere, makes sense for chemtrails, right? To get people to follow them, they are hybridizing and implanting the little worms in the brains and whatever. Done. Then they want, they don't want, because humans are such amazing beings, they've calcified our pineal glands, right? So if our pineal glands were decalcified and we really made an effort to not drink fluoride water and really grow our own fruits and vegetables and things like that, right? We could, our shift in what's the reptilians in society wants us to believe as tangible, as in touch things on physical earth, will be less real, and we'll know that the spiritual world or the other bandwidth of frequency of the universe, that would be more real than the physical, tangible things of earth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like if that exists, that is more in priority, and then that is more real than here. And when people do DMT and stuff, and they go like they go right, they describe that as that it feels more real over there than it does here, which is wild.
Exactly.
You spend most of your life here, right? So that's got to be some experience. I haven't done it. I have a friend who did, and I'm gonna do it soon. I don't know if that's illegal. I'm going to go to jail for saying that. FBI, open up. But he said he was there, and he said he was there for fucking 10 hours, the time difference. And he was asking all sorts of questions. I'm actually going to be meeting up with him soon. So I think I'm going to do a show on just his experience, which I think would be pretty interesting. But yeah, good stuff. Yeah. It's like could continue. You said
so, and that's if you look at the common stories of people dying or having a death experience, the guy that I told you about earlier, who was an atheist who had a heart attack and fell into the couch and then was in space, where he explained when he came back, he says, "This earth, nothing matters here. It doesn't matter. Like all the confusion and buying of stuff and trying to live this life, and it doesn't matter." Because this is not real. Out there is real. You're like in your. I don't even know how to explain it. It's not universe, because universe to us is still tangible. It's spiritual place or plane or another dimension. He goes, that is real because that is eternal. So, and he said I think he was in a coma for a week, but he said it felt like he was there forever. And he was living this life, and he loved it, and he didn't want to come back because it was so much more real than it is on Earth. Isn't that mind-boggling?
That's pretty wild. Yeah. I can see it. There's a lot out there. What are we? The pale blue dot or whatever, as Carl Sagan said. As seen from the Voyager. I mean, I would think there's just a lot more out there than what we can ever imagine, and you're in the right place. You're definitely in the right place, Tam Bam. We got to wrap this up, though. We're over time, and my back is hurting. You get old, you stand in one place for 3.5 hours, you start to go, I'm old.
Get that standing desk. That's right. That's right.
Standing desk. Yeah, standing desk. I mean, it's good because I shouldn't be sitting as much as I do, and so. But then, right, it's a long show. But anyway. Great stuff. So go ahead and give us your rundown here. Your final thought, Tam.
I think we need to really start thinking differently in terms of this earth is very temporary, and it doesn't matter what society and thinks of us and what society tries to tell us. We should aim for something larger and bigger, and not be scared of death, and more of excited for the next journey.
Amen to that. Absolutely.
Nice.
Be not afraid.
What a great message.
Be not afraid. Rohan, final thought, my friend. Then we'll go to Ash and we'll get the hell out of here.
Yeah, final thought. I think telepathy is the norm, it seems, in my studies of this stuff. So we probably need to get that switched on. And also a man I will take away is, I think what Tam was just saying there, it's the boundary between the physical world and the psychic and the mind realm. The boundaries are actually the illusion. And that's why you're both the same thing. And that's the Matrix thing in there. There is no spoon. So
there is no spoon. Couple things real quick, guys. Tam Bam has an Instagram. Follow, links in the description. Rohan here has a podcast called Exiled Minds. There's the famous Liam Martin. Link in the description. Follow these fine folks. And, of course, follow Ash the Reptilian from Mars. Link in the description. Ash, thanks for spending your time with us tonight. Thanks for having these great ideas and just being you. Thanks for being the Reptilian. Go right ahead. Your final thought. Let's get the hell out. Let's do it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate being here. Appreciate you guys having conversation. That anyone calls in and makes me feel a little less crazy, right? And I think that the show does that for you guys. And you got wild and passionate and inquisitive minds, right? We just think there's more, and to seek that information. I think that's important. And so tonight we talked about basically this group, this remote viewing group, their theory on what's going on here with the planet, and aliens trying to control the planet through hybrids, and maybe there's these beings approaching our politicians, our leaders, and are influencing them. Maybe the government's fucking up. Remember the one time Trump was like, he was giving an interview, and then he's like, I am the chosen one. It could have just been a hybrid whispering in that guy's ear and getting them all riled up. So it really, and that's, but.
Sorry, my phone fell down.
You all right?
Oh,
what's up, Axel? We're still on the show, homie. Hang on.
Yeah, we're okay. Don't worry.
Oh, shit. I have to get off.
You fell.
Hey, we're okay since you fell down. You all right?
No, we're being infiltrated.
Exactly.
We all are on there. We're on there.
All right.
Well,
ahead.
yeah. So, interesting. Yeah. So yeah. I don't know. I don't know if this stuff is real. The remote viewing. Take a look for yourself. They got the Farsight Institute. Always a pretty cool, at very least, cool story, right? So check out their content. Check out their stuff. Take a look for yourself. If you think there's something there, hit me up. Check out my YouTube channel, Ash Reptilian from Mars. I'm going to do an episode on this stuff. I'm going to do future episodes on all kinds of stuff. I think a lot of people are interested in remote viewing, so we'll do some projects on that. I got a shit ton of news queued up, so we're going to do a live stream real soon. A lot of funny and interesting stuff in that queue. Oh my God. And I appreciate you guys all calling in and listening. If you're still listening, holy shit, thank you. And thank you, Mike, for having me on. And enjoy yourself and chill out and troubled minds.
Chill out. Give Ash a follow. All the fine folks that usually contribute to this show, follow the links in the description. You know where to find it. Thanks again to everybody for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. You know how it goes, a little something like this. If you want to help the show, you know how to do that. Patreon, there's Rockfin, there's Twitch. You can sub up to any of those, or you can just listen to the podcast feed, either Spotify or which has taken a hit in the press recently, but Spotify still works, I promise you. iTunes, any of your favorite podcast apps will all work. A few cents come my way every time you listen to one of the old episodes. So please do that. And that's that. Let's get the hell out of here. You guys know how this works.
I have a Tamtro.
Okay, you got a Tamtro. Go right ahead. As we finish, let's go with the Tamtro.
Okay. We need a renaissance of wonder. We need to renew in our hearts and in our souls the deathless dream, the eternal poetry, the perennial sense that life is a miracle and magic.
Perfect. I love it. Good stuff, Tam Bam. Thank you very much. And as we finish, it goes like this. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific, with more Troubled Minds. Be sure, be strong, be true.
Be true.
Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night.
Oh.